Transmigrated is a ghost chapter 1 to 25. See 1 to 0 surviving just to die. My vacation in Australia had been great for the first few days. I visited the Daintree rainforest, got to enjoy Taronga Zoo and tour around Sydney. Then today I finally went out to go swimming in the ocean when a freak thunderstorm whipped up out of nowhere. Lightning started flashing in the sky all around me as I panic swam back to shore. I had gone pretty far out from the shore following schools of fishes and had to hightail it back as fast as possible. I swam like my life depended on it, mainly because it did. In my haste, I splashed up a storm, moving my arms and legs as fast and with as much force as I could muster, all the while thinking, I am not going to get struck by fucking lightning on my first vacation in years. After vigorously swimming for what felt like hours, in all actuality it was only a couple of minutes, I looked back to see how close the storm was, and it was now right over my head. After glancing at the impending storm, I noticed that my rowdy swimming has attracted a friend. A huge razor-sharp-toothed friend that looks hungry and is easily 3 times my size. In this moment I wondered what the world has against me and why it decided I had to die one way or another. I begin moving towards the shore again as fast as my arms and legs can take me with renewed strength, hoping that my huge new shark friend would not be interested in me. However, contrary to my wishes, in just a few seconds I see big ol' Brucey swimming under me right before they point their head at me with their big toothy maw aimed right for my body. I abruptly stop, my life flashing before my eyes, thinking, what did I do to deserve this? I certainly wasn't a perfect person, but I never did anything so bad as to go out this way. Then bang, the shark impacts into my body, pushing me out of the water with the shark right behind me. Ads by PubFuture. By some miracle, my abrupt stop messed up the shark's aim, and instead of being grabbed by its mouth full of sharp deadly teeth, I was knocked into the air by its snout. Nevertheless, that still hurt like hell, and the shark's mouth is once again directed towards me on our descent back into the water, when all of a sudden there is a huge flash and a loud boom. After being completely disoriented by the recent events, I eventually make it back to the surface of the water. The sight in front of me blew my mind. The shark that almost ate me was struck by lightning while in the air and now sits roasted on the surface of the water. I had heard that both the odds of being struck by lightning or being attacked by a shark are quite unlikely, but the odds of a shark being struck by lightning must be astronomical. Well, better you than me, Brucey. Reveling in my good luck, and that I got out of that situation with nothing more than a bruised side, I make my way back towards the shore, albeit at a slower and calmer pace as to not attract the ire of the world again. Finally, I had made it back to the beach, exhausted as hell, and being rained on as the storm raged on all around me. After panting heavily for a few minutes to regain my stamina after swimming with everything I had so as to not die, I begin to make my way back over to the stuff I had left on the beach. Once I make it back to where I had set up on the beach, I find that all my stuff is gone, either because someone took it, or the storm blew it away. As I look around, I notice that everyone has already vacated the beach, but I guess there is no surprise there, as it was currently raining cats and dogs out here. Well, it could have been worse. I only lost a beach towel, a cheap bag, my sunscreen, sunglasses, and a water bottle. After the near-death experience I had just gone through, I had to look on the positive side of things. I managed to head back to the locker where the rest of my stuff was stored and at last get out of this infernal storm. After multiple attempts to remember the passcode, I eventually get the locker open and I am reunited with my possessions. I dry off with the spare towel I brought and get changed into some fresh and dry clothes. Now wearing my fresh and dry t-shirt and blue jeans, I had a new predicament. Ads by PubFuture. I had no sort of protection from the rain, such as an umbrella or a jacket, and I refused to get soaked again after finally getting dry. I take out my phone, which still had over 60% battery, even though with all that had gone wrong today I expected it to be dead. Checking the weather, I found that the storm blew in quick and is predicted to move out just as fast in a few minutes. After around 10 more minutes the storm has passed by and the sun was shining once again. Even though I only have 3 days left in Australia, I think I've had enough excitement for one day and am going to spend the rest of the day lounging around my hotel room. I call for a cab to come pick me up because after what had happened earlier today, I was in no mood to walk to the nearest bus station. Once the cab arrived, I got in and gave him the address of the hotel I was staying at and enjoyed the ride back to my temporary abode. As we were driving back while passing through an intersection, a truck ran a red light and nearly plowed straight into the cab I was in. Holy shit, they missed us by just a few inches. I swear I am not going out via truck. The world must want me to have a heart attack. Okay, world message received. I will be a better person. I'll start recycling more, get a hybrid, donate to charity. Just please stop trying to kill me today. At long last the cab pulled into my hotel. I exchanged some niceties and then paid the driver. I scurried into the hotel and up to my room as fast as possible, and when I closed the door to my room, I could finally breathe easy again. Okay, I am not leaving my room for the rest of the day. I need a shower and some food, and then I am spending the rest of the day in bed. After getting out of the shower, I dried off and ordered up some room service. I would not normally do so, but desperate times called for desperate measures. I ordered the most expensive thing they had, the lobster thermidor. Almost dying 3 times in one day makes a man want to try new things. After eating the quite delicious lobster thermidor, I spent the rest of the day watching videos and reading a book. Once the day turned to evening, the fatigue from the day's activities started to encroach on me, and I decided to call it a night and get some shut-eye to recover. Right before sleep overcame me, I thought, today's has been one crazy day, but I still have 3 days left on my vacation, and as much as I like the beach, I probably will not be returning anytime soon. There is still plenty to do here, like visit the opera house. Maybe that's what I'll do tomorrow. Unfortunately, I never did get to visit the opera house or do anything else on earth for that matter, because I never woke up again after going to sleep that day. See 2-to-1 terminal. My name is Marcus Ferris, and well, I died. I was just your average guy on earth with pretty much my whole life ahead of me. I did not think that I was going to die so young, or that I deserved to die for some reason, but the world is often cruel and unpredictable, so here I am. I was a 28-year-old man of average height, around 5'9", and was working for a law firm as a lawyer. I had recently been given a pay raise and decided to go on a vacation to celebrate. Turns out it was my last vacation, as I happened to die somehow. But back to what is currently happening. I am in some sort of long automated line of what I assume are souls. When I suddenly appeared in this line, I received a message in my mind that I had died and to wait for my turn to be served. That's it. That was all I got before having to stand, well, float in this long line of souls. I can no longer move, hear, touch, taste, or smell. The only thing I can do is see around me what appears to be an infinite number of souls in lines moving forwards. Well, this is bleak. Hopefully it does not take too long for me to get served, because this is incredibly boring. I don't even know how I died. I just went to bed and then ended up here. After waiting for what seemed like an eternity, in all actuality it was only a few hours, I am finally able to see some sort of structure. At long last I am at the front of the line, waiting to enter a small white building that I can only assume is the service station that I have been waiting for. Now that I am here, I am incredibly nervous. If I could sweat, there would be a massive puddle under me. I do not believe I ever did something bad enough to get sent straight to hell, but the thought is creeping in the back of my mind. The door into the white room then opens and I am pulled into the great unknown. All of a sudden, I just appear in front of some sort of desk with what looks like a white blob in a vaguely human shape in front of some sort of monitor. I then hear in my mind, "Hello, welcome to the Soul Terminal. I am the officer that will be helping you with your soul placement today. Let us get started now. I will give you a time for questions after my explanation of what is going to happen to you is complete. Please refrain from asking any until that time. To start, you died on your home planet of Earth via a gas leak in your hotel that caused you to suffocate. Now that you have died, there are 2 options for how we can handle your soul. Normally there would only be one option, where your soul is wiped of your memories and randomly assigned to a new world. However, because of special conditions, you have been given a second option. Your second option is to transfer to the world of Mirian with your memories intact. This option is only available to every 10 millionth soul that dies on your planet. Which option will you choose? Can I ask why exactly I have the option to be transferred to a new planet with my memories still intact, like what is actually going on here? Ads by PubFuture. Now is not the allotted time for questions. Please make your choice or one will be made for you. There are many more souls waiting for their turn to be served. Well, this is unexpected. I either get to have my memories wiped and my soul sent to who knows where, or I can go to some unknown specified planet because I won the death lottery or something. I also can't get any more information on either option because I am not allowed to ask questions right now. Please promptly make your choice. You have 15 seconds before one will be made for you. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10. I don't need a countdown. 9, 8. Okay, I decided I want to transfer to Mirian. At least this way I'll be able to keep my current memories and not become someone else. Understood. You have selected to transfer to Mirian. I will now give you a rundown of the transfer procedure and some general information about Mirian. Mirian is a world that is quite different from your previous world in many ways. It is over 36 times bigger than Earth and is a world with what you call magic. It would be considered by you to be a world that is similar to many of the fantasies depicted in fiction on Earth. Mirian is also supported by a system that helps people to advance in strength and learn skills more efficiently. Mirian also has many other intelligent races other than humans, unlike your former world. The transfer process can follow either one of two methods. The first, in which you will be reincarnated as a newborn to any possible intelligent race along with 4 random blessings, or you can be transferred using your old body as a template for a new one on Mirian along with 1 random blessing and starting at level 40. In either case you will also receive the unique skill personal status, a small item box, a single language token, and an introduction to Mirian booklet. At this time, you may ask any questions you have in the allotted 10 minutes before you need to make your choice of transfer process, or one will be chosen for you. Also, there may be some question I am unable to answer. Your time starts now. Okay, I need to think about these questions carefully. I have a limited amount of time and information could invaluable. Earlier you mentioned blessings. Could you give me some more information on what effect they have on me? Ads by PubFuture. Understood. A blessing is a boon granted to people that gives them special abilities. For example, the blessing of fire would give a person a higher affinity and a boost in power for fire-related magic and skills, as well as some minor resistances to fire. Blessings are normally given to people at birth, but it is possible to obtain them later in life. As there are hundreds of different blessings, I will not be able to give any more specific examples. You told me that every 10 millionth soul from Earth are also given the option to go to Mirian. How many other people from Earth are there? Currently there are 127 other individuals from Earth residing on Mirian. Okay, my next question is, what is the average level for intelligent life on Mirian? The current average level for intelligent life on Mirian is 13. Then what is the average level of all life on Mirian? The current average level on Mirian is 21. So, starting at level 40 would definitely put me well above the average level, but I should also ask about how high the levels can go on Mirian. For all I know, level 40 is still pretty weak. Next question, what is the highest level possible on Mirian? I cannot answer that question. Well, that sucks. Guess I'll have to find that out later. Then what is the highest level anything currently has on Mirian? I cannot answer that question. Guess they are not going to make it easy on me, huh? I can't really think of any more good questions to ask about Mirian itself without more information. I really don't want to go through infancy or puberty again, so I am definitely not picking to be reincarnated as a baby. Maybe I can barter for some better starting rewards. It's worth a shot. Worst thing they do is say no. I have seen in plenty of fantasy stories where the main character would get some special ability that makes them untouchable. Would it be possible for me to get something like that in exchange for the blessing or levels? I am afraid that would be. Wait, I have received a message from the system administrator allowing it. Very well, your request has been accepted and your starting level has been lowered in order to facilitate the necessary changes. Wow, that was surprisingly easy. I now get some broken ability that makes me untouchable. And it only cost me a few levels that I should be able to get back later. I guess I should ask about what kind of ability that I just got. What type of ability was I given and how many levels will I lose for it? The ability that makes you untouchable is given via Ding. I am afraid that is all the time you have been allotted for questions, and I will now begin your transfer to Mirian. Wait, that's it. I could have sworn I had more time left to ask questions. Transfer initiated. Thank you for your patience during this process and enjoy your new life on Mirian. C3-2 arriving on Mirian. After being told to enjoy my new life, I am suddenly surrounded by a bright light and everything becomes a blur. I feel like I am moving at an incredible speed and then I see it. A huge planet full of vibrant colors comes into view. I guess that must be Mirian. It definitely looks huge in comparison to Earth. In that brief moment where everything was still, I was able to get a good look at Mirian, seeing dozens of continents, one which looked completely purple, and vast oceans that could swallow the entirety of my former world. Then the moment was over, and I began hurtling towards the surface of Mirian at an incredible pace. Oh, shit, are they going to smash me right into the surface? Was this all just some sick game and they are going to kill me again right away? Thankfully, when I hit the surface there was no huge curse splat and I appeared to be perfectly fine. I look around to get my bearings and notice that I am on a road that cuts through the middle of a lush forest. Well, if there's a road there must be civilization not too far from where I am. At least they did not drop me in the absolute middle of nowhere. I check out my new body, which seems to be exactly like my old one except that I have some new clothes. Instead of the clothes I died in, I am now wearing a light colored shirt that's almost white, maybe beige, some black pants, and some brown leather shoes. Now that I've checked out my physical person, let's take a look at my status and see what cool ability I was given, as well what type of blessing I got. Okay, here goes nothing. Status. Name: Marcus Ferris. Age: 28. Race: Unbound Ghost. Level: 1. HP: 150 150ths. MP: 140 140ths. STR: AGL: 12. VIT: Int: 14. SPR: 15. Stat points: 0. Skill points: 0. Unique skills: Personal status. Skills: Small item box. Blessing of Iron. Race abilities: Invisible, Ethereal, Chill Zone, Float, Possession, Undying. Spectre powers: Ghost sounds level 1. Wait, what the fuck? Unbound Ghost, level 1. What the hell is going on here? I thought I was supposed to be a human and I'd get to start off with at least some levels. Where is the special ability that I asked for? I certainly did not ask to be turned into a fucking ghost. This is bullshit. That system administrator or whatever must be fucking with me. Do you think that this sick joke is funny? I bet you're laughing your ass off right about now. You better hope I never find you or I'm going to wring your neck. Ads by PubFuture. After Marcus cursed out the system administrator for a few more minutes, he finally decided to look at his status again and check out the particulars of his abilities. Whatever complaining hasn't gotten me anything, so I'll just have to deal with it. I traded 39 levels for being a ghost, so the powers have to be good, right? Let's check out the description of my race. Maybe it has some cool secrets that I have yet to uncover. Unbound Ghost is a unique race that has never existed before on Mirian. As a ghost, this race has no physical body, leaving it without a STR, strength, or VIT, vitality score, with HP being determined by their SPR, spurt stat instead. An unbound ghost, unlike other ghosts, is not bound to a place or goal or has an affinity for light or darkness. This unique race is completely neutral and free to follow its own desires. So I'm some sort of completely new race that has never existed before. I guess that's cool. Still not happy about being a ghost, but at least I'm not stuck on this dirt road for all eternity. I have a pretty good idea what the stats do, but I might as well check them out to make sure that they don't do anything special. STR, strength, is the measure of one's physical might. AGL, agility, is the measure of one's ability to move quickly and efficiently. VIT, vitality, is the measure of one's hardness and endurance and determines the amount of HP one has. Intelligence is the measure of one's ability to learn, apply, remember knowledge, and determines MP. And SPR, spirit, is the measure of one's strength of soul, ability to resist mental effects, and increase the power of magical abilities. Okay, pretty standard. The stats all do pretty much what I expected. Next, let's check out the blessing I got. Hopefully it's really powerful. Blessing of Iron gives the holder increased strength and vitality by making the holder's body more durable, and gives higher affinity to magic and crafting skills that use metal. It's official, I'm being fucked with. This blessing is basically worthless to me. As a ghost I have no strength or vitality, and there is no way for a ghost to be able to craft anything either. Unless I'm able to get some magic that involves metal later on, this blessing of Iron is completely pointless. Finally, all I have left are race abilities and specter powers, but from their names alone I have a pretty good guess as to what they all do already. Invisible makes the user unable to be perceived by normal senses. Ethereal makes the user untouchable. They have no physical form, can pass through most matter, and are unaffected by most forces in the world. Chill Zone The user's presence lowers the temperature in a given area. Effect can change based on mood. Float allows the user to move in 3 dimensions. Possession allows the user to take control of a body. Effectiveness is determined by the difference in SPR stat. Undying. The user is incapable of dying through normal means such as aging, thirst, hunger, suffocation, or disease. Ghost sounds allows the user to create sounds of chilling wind or quiet wails. Power and range affected by level of skill. It's official, this suck. I basically don't even exist, no one can perceive me, and I can't physically come into contact with anything. The only way for me to affect the world is to give out free HC, make spooky sounds, or possess someone. When I asked to be untouchable, I did not mean it so literally. It's like some kind of asshole genie granted me my wish and I got a curse instead of what I really wanted. However, staying on this road forever isn't going to get me anywhere. Guess I'll have to borrow people's bodies until I'm able to get an ability that allows me to interact with the world. Wait, what the hell, has the ground gotten closer or am I getting shorter? Marcus then looked down to find an unpleasant surprise in store for him. His body had sunk into the ground up to his thighs and he was slowly sinking even deeper. His body soon was completely swallowed, and he could no longer see anything except the dirt in front of his face. C4-3. Getting to the core of the issue. Marcus continued to fall through the ground around him as the speed of his descent increased with every second that passed. Marcus tried everything that he could think of to stop his descent into the world. He tried to flap his arms around, wildly freestyle swim through rock. He even resorted to praying to come to a stop. Alas, everything he did was futile as he only sunk deeper and deeper into Mirian. The ground passed around Marcus's eyes with the changing of color of the rock around him and the subtle feeling of falling alerting him that he was still falling. At one point he came into a massive open cavern that was full of brilliant colors and housed a massive metropolis. This scene managed to distract Marcus from his predicament for quite some time as he looked around in wonder at the beautiful cavern and sprawling underground city. His descent even seemed to slow down while he viewed the city and its splendor. However, the cruel embrace of the ground once again covered Marcus. For hours then days Marcus kept slipping deeper into Mirian. After trying everything that he could think of to stop, he finally gave up, hoping that he would eventually come out on the other side of the world. Unfortunately for Marcus, this did not happen. He did eventually come to a stop, but instead of coming out on the other side of the world he was stuck in its core. No, 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 don't stop now. Don't take away the little hope that I had left to escape this nightmare. This was supposed to be a new start in an amazing new world, yet so far all it has been hell. I'm literally now trapped in a fiery molten prison. Marcus had already tried everything he could think of to use his float ability, but for some reason he could only move down and never up. He had even read the newbie's guide he was given, but the only information that he got from it that could help was that skills could be purchased and upgraded with skill points. Unfortunately, with Marcus only being level 1, he had no skill points to spend on a skill that could get him out of his current situation. Ads by PubFuture. Maybe this is all just a dream. Yeah, I'm going to wake up in my hotel room any moment now and can continue with my life. Please wake up, I don't want to spend all eternity stuck at the center of this world. I miss my old life, I wish I could just go back to how everything was before. I want to see my family again. Everything has just happened so fast I hadn't even considered how I'll never be able to spend holidays with my family. I'll never go see another movie with my brother and sister or meet my newborn nephew. This world is horrible. I thought it would be a cool adventure exploring a new magical world, but instead I will be stuck in the core of the planet until eventually I lose what semblance of sanity I have left. As Marcus's thoughts became bleaker and darker as he begged to anything and everything to escape the hell life's cruelty had bestowed upon him. When his thoughts and emotions were at their darkest, Marcus moved ever so slightly downward until bouncing back up into the center of Mirian. What the hell just happened? Why did I just move down farther only to bounce back up? I know gravity must have some effect on me, otherwise I would have just floated out to space instead of the core of Mirian, so why did I suddenly move down again after reaching the center of gravity? After searching his memories from his beginning on Mirian to his rapid descent into the center of the world, Marcus slowly begins to piece together how his float ability really works. I do not remember starting to sink immediately on my arrival to Mirian. At first I checked out my body and the surroundings and was certainly not moving in any direction. I only began to fall through the ground while I was reading my status. I was becoming quite angry because I had been screwed over by the system administrator. Then when I noticed that I was sinking into the ground, I started to panic and began to sink faster. However, there was one point when I felt like I began to slow down. When I saw the amazing underground cavern and city, I was so enamored that I almost forgot that I was falling through the ground. In the few minutes in which I was marveling at the city, my descent really did slow down. In just moments ago when I was feeling at my lowest, it felt like the whole world was weighing down on me. I moved slightly for the first time since being stuck at the center of the world. The thing that affects my floatability is my feelings. My own negativity was weighing me down, so if I think positively, I should be able to move up instead of fall down. With Marcus's first spark of hope since he began falling into the ground, he began to rise instead of fall, and as the feeling of hope continued to swell, Marcus began to ascend faster and faster, making his way back to the surface of Merian, C5-4 to the surface once more. After Marcus figured out how to use his float ability, he began his trek back to the surface. Though he had figured out how the ability worked in general, putting it into practice was another story. At first Marcus was able to ascend without too much difficulty, but he soon found that keeping his emotions in check and the precise control of his float ability to be difficult to master. At one point he could only go directly to his left, not ascending or descending, and then after that he found himself doing circles for a while, unable to tell up from down. After days of practice and passing through the center of Merian multiple times in order to get his bearings, Marcus finally had perfect control over his float ability. Weeks after Marcus had mastered the use of his float ability, he once again emerged onto the surface of Merian. At long last I have made it back to the surface. I nearly lost my sanity trying to get back here, but it is done. My journey can finally begin. Marcus then looks around at the scenery before him, which is full of rolling hills coated by a dense forest that went in every direction for as far as he could see. He then floated above the canopy of the forest to get a better look around him. Well, I am definitely not where I was before. For all I know, I could be on the other side of the world from where I started. I do not see any signs of civilization this time around, just a bunch of trees and hills. Also, these trees are huge, some of them seem to be as tall as 500 feet. I am definitely not in Kansas anymore. The first thing I need to do is figure out how I am going to level up. When I was trying to find a way out of my sinking predicament and skimmed through Newbie's Guide, I read the section on leveling up to hopefully find a way to level up and get some skill points, but stuck underground I had no means to level up. During his reading, Marcus learned that there are multiple ways to level up, such as training, using special treasures, completing a quest or objective that the system considers to be difficult, or by fighting and killing other creatures. The most time-efficient method that is easily accessible but also deadliest is of course to fight and kill other creatures. This is because you not only get experience for fighting, but also when you kill another creature you absorb some of the express they had as your own. The problem is that I have almost no way to interact with other creatures because I am a ghost. I guess I could try and freeze something to death with my chill aura, but I highly doubt that's possible, especially because this area looks naturally cold to begin with. I guess the only way is for me to try and possess some sort of creature. It is a good thing that express is absorbed by the soul and not the body, otherwise I would be screwed. After searching around the forest for a suitable body to possess, Marcus at last finds some sort of bear-like creature that instead of fur has scales that looks kind of like what a pangolin has. Well, it looks a little weird, but it seems like it would be pretty strong. Let's see if I can not use it to grind out a few levels. Marcus floats towards the scaled bear ever so slowly, mostly because he cannot move all that fast, and when he got within just a few inches of the bear he tried to jump into its body and possess it. However, as he tries to possess the bear, he is very violently ejected from its body, unable to take control for even a second. Aw shit, that hurt. What the hell, I could not even possess it for an instance, and why do I feel pain all of a sudden? Marcus then checked his status and noticed that he had lost 10 HP and his personal log said that his possession had failed. It did not say anywhere in the skills description that failed possessions can hurt me, and this means that this stupid scaled bear has a higher spirit stat than me. Being level 1 sucks. I am only going to be able to possess things that are significantly weaker than me and have a low spirit stat. After searching around for a while more and quite a few more failed possessions, Marcus eventually found a creature that he believed that he could take control. Finally, something that looks like I can possess that is not an insect. you will be mine, winged carnivorous squirrel thing. After fighting for control from the winged carnivorous squirrel for about a minute, Marcus was able to wrestle control over the body away from the soul of the squirrel. He then promptly examined his new status after possessing his first creature. Name: Marcus Ferris. Age: 28. Race: Unbound Ghost Winged Carnivorous Squirrel. Level 1 possessed. Level 1. HP: 132 150ths - 60 60ths. MP: 140 140ths. STR: 3+1. AGL: 12. VIT: 5+1. INT: 14. SPR: 15. Adds by PubFuture. Stat points: 0. Skill points: 0. Unique skills: Personal status. Skills: Small item box. Blessing of Iron. Race abilities: Invisible, Ethereal, Chill Zone, Float, Possession, Undying. Possessed race abilities: Claw, Bite, Flight, Pour. Spectre powers: Ghost Sounds. Level 1. After checking his status, Marcus then did a little dance in the squirrel's body and made a V pose with his little clawed fingers to show off his first victory on Mirian. Haha, yes, I have done it. My start has finally arrived. I now have a physical form to use. The world will one day tremble before my power. After indulging in a few more delusions and a bit of celebrating on his successful possession, Marcus calmed down and went over his status in detail. Okay, looks like while I am possessing another creature, I lose access to all of my race abilities and gain the abilities of the creature I am possessing. I also have now gained a strength and vitality score, and for some reason they have +1. Let's see here. It's because of my blessing of iron. I guess that blessing is not completely useless after all. Sorry for cursing you out, blessing of iron. I now know that you are an impressive ability and I will be relying on you from now on. I also seem to have some extra HP, which I guess is how much this squirrel normally has. Very well then, let's go find some other creatures to fight so I can finally level up. Marcus began to search around for some other creatures to fight, but finding creatures in his weight class was easier said than done. It took him about 2 hours before he eventually caved on trying to find something around his strength level and decided to kill a small insect he found just to see how much express he could get. You seem to be some type of beetle, and while you have not done anything to me, I need to fight and kill to gain express, so you're going to have to die to make me stronger. Marcus the raised his paw, extended his claws and swiped down toward the beetle. His claws sunk into the beetle's carapace, taking a large chunk out of it. The beetle tried to scurry away, but Marcus then used his bite to finish the beetle off. PFFT, that beetle was disgusting. I need to remember not to use my bite on them. Now how much express did I get from that? Marcus checked his status to see how much express he had attained from his first kill, only to see the scant amount that the beetle had given. Great, these beetles barely give any express at all. I will need to kill like 5,000 more of them just to level up once. That could take months to accomplish. I need to find something else to fight that gives me more express. I may have to fight something in a higher weight class and hope I come out on top. Marcus then went off in search of more powerful foes to fight so that he could gain express and hopefully level up. C6-5 fighting for the next level. After defeating a random beetle as his first opponent, Marcus went looking for stronger, more express foes to fight. Even though both Marcus and the beetle were level 1, the amount of express a beetle has is nothing compared to what Marcus needs to level up. The strength of a creature is not solely determined by level but also by race. A level 1 dragon is still far stronger than a level 10 horse and thus would give more and need more express. Marcus searched around for a while until he found the perfect being for him to fight against for express. He managed to find a silver-furred ferret that was eating the body of a smaller rodent. The perfect situation: that silver-furred ferret is already distracted by its meal and will never notice my ambush. It is time for you to become the foundation for my first level up. Marcus then moved along the branches of the trees as quietly as he could, slowly positioning himself above the silver-furred ferret that he had found. Once he was in position, he was ready to pounce on the unsuspecting ferret. Here we go, 1 2 3, death from above. Marcus then jumped towards the ferret, teeth and claws ready, and when he was only a foot away from the ferret, it suddenly leapt to the side, dodging the sneak attack, forcing Marcus to slam into the hard ground. Ah, that hurt. That crafty ferret dodged me. How the hell did it know I was here? Whatever, I will just have to fight it head on and hope I get a victory. Marcus and the ferret then squared off against each other, with Marcus' attacking fist lunging towards the ferret teeth first, hoping to score a nasty bite, only for the ferret to dodge out of the way once again. This time, however, the ferret also struck back, racking its claws across the side of the squirrel that Marcus is currently possessing. Ow, that really fucking hurts. Not having a physical body has almost made me forget how bad pain can be. I cannot believe that this stupid ferret is beating me right now. Of course, the ferret had far more experience in combat than Marcus, who was also fighting in an unfamiliar body as well as having sustained an injury at the beginning of the fight. There was no way Marcus had any chance of winning. After exchanging a few more blows, with the ferret taking almost no damage, the ferret had pinned down Marcus and was about to deliver the final blow when Marcus abandoned the squirrel's body. The squirrel let out a deafening cry as the ferret bit into its throat to finish it off. Good job, Mr. Ferret, you managed to defeat me in squirrel form. However, it is I who shall have the final victory, as your body is now mine. Marcus then floated towards the ferret that had begun to eat the previously possessed squirrel and activated his possession skill. Once inside the ferret's body, the two souls fought for control over the body, and after quite a bit longer than Marcus would like, he finally obtained control over the ferret's body. Huff huff, that was harder than I expected it to be. This thing must be higher than level 1, otherwise taking control of its body should have been easier. Let me check out my new status and see if this thing has any good abilities. Name: Marcus Ferris. Age: 28. Race: Unbound Ghost. Silver-furred ferret. Level 2 possessed. Level 1. HP: 150 150ths minus 80 80ths. MP: 140 140ths. STR: 6 + 1. AGL: 12. VIT: 7 + 1. INT: 14. SPR: 15. Stat points: 0. Skill points: 0. Unique skills: Personal status. Skills: Small item box. Ads by PubFuture. Blessing of Iron. Race abilities: Invisible, Ethereal, Chill Zone, Float, Possession, Undying. Possessed race abilities: Claw, Bite, Silver Hide. Spectre powers: Ghost Sounds. Level 1. Okay, this ferret is level 2. From the fight it put up I was expecting little higher, but it has higher stats than the squirrel, so I will take it. It has both claw and bite just like the squirrel, but instead of flight it has silver hide, which increases resistance to physical damage. No wonder I could barely hurt the thing and it felt like my attacks were bouncing off. Oh well, time to use this ferret to level myself up. Marcus, possessing the ferret, headed out in search of more creatures to fight. He went searching for more of the winged squirrels, but they would always fly away before he could get close to them, and none of them were dumb enough to attack Marcus head on. Why won't these stupid squirrels come down and fight like a man? This forest sucks. There are hardly any creatures that I can take over, and even fewer that I can fight for express once I have a suitable body. I really did not want to have to resort to killing bugs for express, but I can't waste all my time looking for something that gives better express and that I can fight. At least this way I will feel like I am doing something. Marcus then went on a bug massacring spree for a few hours, killing every insect he could find. This of course hardly gave him any express, even after killing many dozen beetles, moths, and what else he could get his paws on. Marcus finally caught a break and managed to find a small mouse, and after chasing it around for a couple of minutes had pinned it down ready to make the kill. I finally got you. Hopefully you are going to give far more express than those stupid bugs I have been killing. Do not look at me with those eyes you lost, and know I am going to kill you, for the express staring at me with so much fear will not stop me. Damn it, fine, go, you get to live. You would barely give me any express anyways. The little mouse then scurried away from Marcus, thanking its lucky stars that it managed to survive somehow. Whatever, it does not matter, it probably would have been about equal to 10 beetles anyway. I am basically immortal, so if I have to spend a few months killing insects to get my first level up, it is not that big of a deal. Marcus continued his hunt for express, killing whatever insects he could find, slowly but surely making his way to the next level. However, moving all over the forest without regard for stealth eventually would lead anyone to ruin, as Marcus came across a beast he had no chance against. There, nice doggy, you're massive, like the size of a truck. You don't want to eat this tiny ferret, I would barely be a snack for you. Let's just be friend and walk away from each other, okay? As Marcus tried to turn around and run away, a massive claw decapitated the ferret he was possessing in an instant, shunting him out of its body. Aw fuck, that hurt, it still hurts, damn, what the hell, God, what is this, my body has a crack in it. After checking his status, Marcus noticed that he had lost about a quarter of his HP after being forced out of the ferret's body upon his death. Ow ow ow, I guess my soul takes damage if I am killed while inside another creature's body. This is just great, now I have to be even more carefully about using other creatures' bodies. And fuck you, gargantuan wolf, I hope I never see you again. Whoops, got to be carefully, I've already sunk up to my waist in the ground. After pulling himself back out of the ground, Marcus floated away from the wolf in search of another body to possess. After searching around for a few days without finding a suitable body to occupy, Marcus noticed something that really piqued his interest. That is definitely some smoke over there in the distance, and where there is smoke there is fire, and where there is fire there might be people. Time to go investigate. If I follow some people around, I may eventually find a treasure that will help me level up. C7-6 The cruelty of people. After noticing smoke and hoping to get his first human interaction since coming to Mirian, Marcus starts making his way towards the billowing plume in the distance. I wonder what I am going to find when I arrive. Will it be a lone cabin in the woods where a wizard has secluded himself in the pursuit of magic, or maybe a group of adventurers resting after a long day of fighting? Whoever it is, I just want to be able to meet some other people again after being alone with only my thoughts since I got here. I think I might be starting to go a little crazy. Floating straight towards the first sign of human activity Marcus had seen since arriving on Mirian, what would have taken a day for most people to navigate took Marcus only a few hours because he could go in a straight line passing through any obstacles. What he found when he arrived was not what he had been hoping for. All around him were 8 smoldering buildings with no semblance of life remaining. Marcus's mind was in a haze for many minutes as he looked at the horror scene in front of him, and he only snapped out of it when his entire body had been enveloped by earth. It then took him a bit longer to get his emotions in check so that he could rise back above the surface. I have read about stuff like this happening back on Earth, but this is the first time that I have seen anything like this in person. There are over a dozen charred people in the remains of these houses, and if I had still had a stomach, I would probably vomit right now. I wonder what happened here. The houses are still smoldering, so whatever it was could not have been too long ago. I guess that I should check around and see if anyone is alive. I am not sure I would be able to help anyone right now, but who knows, maybe I will figure something out. Unfortunately, even with Marcus's selfless thoughts of helping people, after searching around the area of the small community, he found nobody alive, and all but one of the bodies were burnt to a crisp. At first, when Marcus saw the body of the young woman not far from the buildings near a dirt trail, he thought she might still be alive. However, when he got closer, he could see that she was dead. She had a horrible scar from a burn on the left side of her face and shoulder. However, these seemed to be old wounds, and it was the indentation of a hand on her neck that gave away how she died. This world just keeps throwing more and more at me. How naive I was to think that this world would be like some video game where I fight monsters and level up, and at the end of the day get a drink in a tavern to celebrate. So far all I have seen and experienced is suffering, and I can't even give these people a proper burial. After lamenting the cruelty of the world for a while, Marcus decided to leave. He could not stay in this place as it was only making it difficult for him to stay above the ground. However, as he was turning around to leave, an idea sparked in his head. This girl is dead, so her body no longer houses a soul. She also does not appear to have any irreparable damage, so maybe I could possess her body and use it. I know this is a bit disturbing, but if I just leave her here, so is either going to rot or more likely be eaten by some animal. It is worth a shot, and if it works, I can at least bury everyone else as a means of amends for taking over her body. Ads by PubFuture. Marcus then floated over to the girl's body and activated his possession skill. Unluckily for Marcus, while the girl had been suffocated, her neck was also broken, so when Marcus took over her body, he began to feel unimaginable pain. He experienced terrible suffering, unable to die and unable to leave the body he had just possessed. He was in a state of such pain that he could not get his thoughts under control. After suffering for many hours, the pain started to slowly subside into a dull soreness, and Marcus was able to think again. What the hell just happened? Why did that hurt so much? Her neck must be broken because that is where I am feeling the most pain. How did I even possess her body if it was that damaged? I figured if the body was unable to function, I would just be forced out. My neck is killing me, and I still can't move her body. I should just cut my looses and get out. What the fuck, why can't I leave? I should be able to stop possessing her. Status. Name: Marcus Ferris. Age: 28. Race: Unbound Ghost. Human. Irene. Soul tethering in progress. Level: 1. HP: 150 150ths minus 48 110ths. Status condition: nerve damage. MP: 140 140ths. STR: 10 plus 1. AGL: 12. VIT: 10 plus 1. Ads by PubFuture. Int: 14. SPR: 15. Stat points: 0. Skill points: 0. Unique skills: personal status. Skills: small item box, lesser regeneration. Blessing of Iron. Race abilities: invisible, ethereal, chill zone, float, possession, undying. Possessed race abilities: specter powers, ghost sounds. Level 1. Seriously, what is going on? Soul tethering, nerve damage, and I have lesser regeneration for some reason. I suppose I need to read the description of these new abilities and check my log to find out what is happening. After reading about soul tethering and his new skill as well as checking his personal log, Marcus managed to get a decent understanding of his current situation. So, I think I have everything sorted out now. When I tried to possess Irene's dead body, a small portion of her soul that was still here because she died with a powerful regret. This piece of her soul latched onto mine and forced me to stay in her body even though it was too damaged for me to normally possess. To fix this conundrum, the system gave me the lesser regeneration skill to heal the damage, and I am now stuck in this body and can't move until it finishes repairing the nerve damage. Once another few hours had passed and the nerve damage had fully healed, Marcus then tried to get up but was suddenly struck by the most horrible headache he had ever experienced. Scenes of Irene's life flashed before Marcus's eyes, first showing the birth of her little sister, then to the scene of Irene protecting her little sister from a falling pot of boiling water only to be burned herself. Next to her family having to move out to this small logging community because they could no longer afford to stay in the city, then the scene of illegal slavers rounding up all the young women and children and killing everyone else. Finally, the scene of Irene attacking the leader of the slavers with a wooden board only for it to shatter on his body without harming him, and then him chalking Irene and snapping her neck and throwing her body on the ground like trash. Marcus could feel all the regret, rage, and anguish that Irene had experienced in her final moments and the wish to save her little sister contained in the small fragment of soul now tethered to him. That was awful on multiple accounts. That headache sucked, but what happened to this poor girl was far worse. I can still feel the fragment of her soul pushing me to save her sister, although I could probably ignore it and even expel it once I become a higher level. However, as recompense for taking your body, I promise to save Lilia in your stead. As Marcus etched this vow into his soul, the fragment of Irene that resided inside him calmed down a bit. Now with access to a human body and a new goal to complete, Marcus was ready to truly get started in this world. C8-7 The hunt for food. Marcus now had full control over Irene's body and had accepted the dying request of her soul. However, as good as Marcus's intentions are, he still knew that he was far too weak to save Lilia. Marcus first had to level up and get stronger in order to have any chance of completing his goal. I am still woefully underprepared for fighting against a group of armed men who are definitely higher level than me. Heck, right now I probably would not be able to make it out of the woods in one piece. 1 month. I will give myself 1 month to prepare, and by then I should be ready. The first thing that I should do though is dig a grave for all these people. It would be too sad and too disturbing to leave all these bodies lying around. With Marcus having decided on his course of action, he began looking for a shovel that was not destroyed, and with the help of the fragments of Irene's memories, he eventually managed to find an underground cellar that had escaped the carnage. This was the cellar where the community had stored old worn-out tools that could still be used in case new ones broke or became damaged. It took me about an hour to find, but without the small amount of Irene's memories I never would have known this existed. I was hoping that there would be more room in here, so I could sleep in it, but all these old supplies take up the whole thing. There is barely enough room to walk. Oh well, I will have to find somewhere else to rest. Wait, I almost forgot about my item box skill. Even with its limited capacity of 10 cubic feet, I should be able to store all of this stuff. Marcus then spent the next few minutes storing everything that had been left in the small cellar, getting quite the collection of saws, a few buckets, a well-worn tarp, a couple of shovels, and many other miscellaneous items. Now that Marcus was fully supplied, he headed out of the cellar and towards the remains of the houses to gather up the people and bury them. After many hours of digging and vomiting quite few times, Marcus had managed to dig a grave for the residents of the small community and bury them. That was definitely the hardest thing I have ever done. After not having a physical body for so long, I had forgotten how being tired felt. I need to eat something and go to sleep. Wait, I do not have any food. I have water from the well and shelter in the cellar, but there is nothing to eat. After searching through the entire little community, Marcus was unable to find anything that resembled food, as it had all been burned or stolen. He was incredibly hungry, but the day was coming to an end, so Marcus instead decided to go to sleep and making finding food his priority tomorrow. Marcus woke up the next morning feeling quite refreshed both mentally and physically after the first sleep he had since coming to Miriam. He realized quickly how hungry he was and set off in search of food. I vaguely know that there are some wild nut trees around here somewhere, but how far away they are and what direction they are in are a mystery to me. Oh well, it is the only lead on food I have, so I will just have to search around until I find them. Wandering around in search of the fabled nut trees for a few hours, Marcus eventually comes upon them about 30 minutes south of the community. Finally something to eat. If I do not get anything to eat, I will never have enough strength to level up. Ads by PubFuture. Marcus then proceeded to fill the buckets that he had acquired full of nuts, and then storing everything back into his item box. He then headed back to the remains of the community and began the long and painful process of cracking open all the nuts he had gathered. After getting to the edible center, Marcus began his first meal on Miriam, devouring handfuls of nuts to satiate his hunger. God, it has been a while since I have eaten anything. I had forgotten how satisfying it is to eat. Though I wish I had something better tasting and more substantial than these nuts. I know a couple of basic traps from Earth, so maybe I can catch something. Once he had come up with a plan to try and trap a few animals, Marcus headed out into the woods to see what he could get. He roasted some nuts to let the smell attract animals, and he set up a bucket so that when he pulled the rope connected to the bucket it would fall. Marcus waited for quite a while until he finally saw something that had taken interest in the roasted nuts. It looks like some kind of large shrew mixed with a raccoon. Well, whatever it is will hopefully be my dinner. Come on, just a little bit closer, you know you want to eat. Right as the creature bent over to start eating the nuts, Marcus pulled the rope, letting the bucket fall over, trapping the animal. Marcus ran over and put his hands on the bucket to make sure that the creature could not get out. Now that I have caught it, how am I going to kill it? Can I kill it? No, I have to. This is not like before when I just wanted express. Now I am doing it also because I need to eat. I am going to have to kill things to survive in this world, even if I do not want to. Unfortunately for Marcus, another way that this world is not like Earth, is that the strength of creatures can be misleading based on their size. The creature that he had trapped soon started thrashing about, and the old bucket could not contain its might, busting apart. The angry creature then targeted Marcus, biting into his leg and locking on. Ow fuck, how did it break out of the bucket? Why is it biting me? Ow ow ow, get off me. Marcus took out the shovel he had obtained and started to hit the creature repeatedly in order to get it to let go. However, the more he hit it, the harder it bit, until after multiple hits from the shovel it eventually stopped moving. What Marcus did not know was that if not for his blessing of iron, the creature definitely would have been able to bite his leg off. Ouch, that hurts, that really hurts. Why wouldn't the stupid thing just run away? Whatever, I beat it even if it took of 20% of my HP, and now I am going to have to wait for 40 minutes for my leg to heal. When Marcus was able to walk again, he grabbed the corpse of the creature he had just fought to the death with and headed back to his current base. Once there, he bled and butchered the animal to the best of his abilities without ruining too much of the meat. He then roasted the meat until it cooked through and let off a delicious aroma and began eating his hard-won meal. C9 to 8 The Fire Cat. After finishing up eating his dinner, Marcus began to ponder on how he was going to be able to consistently catch food to eat. The trap I used yesterday really is not that effective in this world. After what happened, I have realized that some creatures, while small, can be pretty strong. I really did not want to do this, but I think it is the only way I am going to be able to consistently trap creatures for food and express. Marcus then crawled into the makeshift bed he had set up in the cellar to get some sleep before the long day he knew he had ahead of him. Once Marcus got up, he headed out in search of a suitable spot to set up his new trap. After searching around for around 2 hours, he finally found a good area where there were not too many trees, and the soil was soft enough to dig. Time to get started. I do not know how long this is going to take, but it is the only suitable trap I can think of that might work. Marcus then began digging his future pit trap. He dug the entire day, only taking breaks for food or when he became too tired to continue. Marcus spent the entire day digging and he had managed to dig a pretty sizable hole. Ads by PubFuture. I think it will probably take about 2 or 3 more days of digging, but I should be able to get it done and then I will have the perfect trap for food and leveling up. After Marcus spent the entirety of the next 5 days digging, he had managed to complete his pitfall. He had managed to dig quite the large hole, around 6 feet wide and long and 9 feet deep. It certainly would have been impossible for him without the use of his item box to store the dirt. In that time, he had also fashioned a crude ladder so he could go in and out of the trap. All I have left to do is disguise and bait the trap and it will be ready. Hopefully, it will work out, otherwise I will have wasted nearly a week. Marcus then dressed up the trap to make it look inconspicuous and left some roasted nuts in the middle as bait. Around an hour after that, Marcus saw a large bird that looked like chicken on steroids approaching the trap. After pensively walking around for a few minutes, the bird decided to approach the nuts. When it got about a foot away from the bait, the trap collapsed, plunging the unsuspecting bird into the hole. Marcus then swiftly went over to the hole and dropped a large rock out of his item box onto the steroidal chicken. Surprising Marcus, the bird survived having the large rock thrown on it and was currently pinned under it. The bird was pecking at the rock and its beak was actually starting to break into it. Marcus hurriedly got out his ladder and climbed down into the hole. The oversized chicken then gave Marcus a hateful glare and began squawking at him. Marcus took out his shovel and walked towards the bird. The bird struggled with everything it had to get out from under the rock, but its resistance ended after a few whacks on the head from Marcus's shovel. That was pretty effective if I do say so myself. I did not expect the thing to survive getting hit by such a large rock, but I was able to finish it off without getting hurt this time, so I will call it a win. Marcus stored the rock and body of the oversized chicken into his item box and made his way back to his home base to dismantle the bird. Once he had bled the bird and plucked the feathers, he roasted it up on a makeshift rotisserie he had made to give the bird an even cook. It smells pretty good, not quite like chicken but pretty close. I hope you taste as good as you smell. Marcus then took a bite of the bird only to find that while it did not taste bad, it was incredibly tough. Man, this is like eating jerky. My jaw is already starting to get tired from all this chewing. At least it does not taste bad, otherwise I would have spent way too much effort for way too little reward. Ads by PubFuture. Now that Marcus was well fed, he went back to the pitfall to reset and rebait it. He did this for the next few days, attracting quite a few small animals that he was able to kill thanks to his trap. Once he had acquired a sizable stockpile of food, he decided it was time to attract bigger creatures. Instead of using nuts as bait, he used some of the meat he had gotten to lure out some predators. Now that the trap is set, I should go hide farther away. If something like that massive wolf comes by, it could easily get out of the trap, and I do not want to be anywhere near that thing ever again. Marcus waited a good distance away from the trap so as to not be within sight, but so he could still hear the crashing sound once the trap was triggered. It only took around 20 minutes before Marcus heard a loud crash and the angry growl of the creature that had fallen for his ruse. Marcus waited for a few minutes before heading over to make sure that whatever was in his trap could not get out. When he made to the edge of the pitfall and looked down, he saw a cat that was about the size of an ocelot with completely red fur. When the cat noticed him, it let out an angry growl and then spit a fireball right at Marcus's face. Oh shit. Marcus dove to the ground in a hurry to avoid the fireball that nearly hit him square in the face. Fuck me, why did I not think that there would be creatures with ranged attacks? How am I going to beat this thing? It is going to shoot a fireball at me whenever I get up to try to kill it. I guess I can try to wear it out by leaving it here, but then I risk it getting out somehow or another creature coming by and taking it. No, I need to beat it now or I probably will not get another chance. Solidifying his determination, Marcus stated to formulate a plan to kill the fire cat without getting injured. The plan he came up with was pretty simple, but Marcus believed that it would be effective. He activated his Spectre Power Ghost Sounds on the other side of the pitfall to distract the fire cat. When the cat heard the noise, it turned around and fired off a fireball. In that moment Marcus got up, took the biggest rock he had in his item box and flung it at the beast. The cat noticed the rock coming towards it and tried to dodge but was an instant too slow as the large rock slammed into its side. The rock did not kill the fire cat, but it was heavily injured and could no longer mount any form of resistance. Marcus took out his ladder and climbed down into the hole. The cat turned its head towards Marcus and tried to shoot a fireball at Marcus, but it was too injured and only blood came out of its mouth. Marcus took out his shovel and after a few hits on the head the cat succumbed to death. You have leveled up to level 2. After killing the fire cat Marcus received a notification in his mind informing him of his level up. I managed to level up, I almost can't believe it. It feels like I have been trying to level up forever and now it has finally happened. Marcus took a few moments to celebrate his first level up since coming to Mirian, shouting and crying with joy a few times. Now that I have leveled up, I can purchase some skills to help myself fight and hopefully level up easier. It has been a while since I have checked my status, I wonder what new skills I will have access to now. C10 to 9 level up in the Magic Core. Status. Name. Marcus Ferris. Age. 28. Race. Unbound Ghost Human Irene Soul Tethered. Level. 2. HP. 180 180ths minus 120 120ths. MP. 140 140ths. STR. 10 plus 2. AGL. 12. VIT. 10 plus 2. INT. 14. SPR. 15 plus 3. Stat points. 10. Skill points. 3. Unique skills. Personal status. Skills. Small item box, lesser regeneration LVL1, digging LVL1. Blessing of Iron. Race abilities, invisible, ethereal, chill zone, float, possession, undying. Possessed race abilities. Spectre powers, ghost sounds LVL1. After looking at his status for the first time in many days Marcus was incredibly surprised to see the many differences from last time. While many things have changed since the last time I looked at my status, I really should make sure to check it more often. I now seem to have a bonus to my spurt stat for some reason. My bonus from Blessing of Iron went up presumably from my level up, and I got the digging skill at some point. Marcus then looked through the information on his status and found that the bonus to his spirit stat came from the soul tether with the fragment of Irene's soul, and he guessed that the Blessing of Iron gave him a bonus based on his level. He figured he must have also obtained the digging skill sometime during the making of the pitfall trap. The bonus from the soul tether is pretty nice, but I need to figure out what to sew with my skill points and stat points now. This is my first level up, so what I choose now will be the foundation for the rest of my life, and as I cannot age, that could be a very long time. First things first, I should review my newbie's guide since it had been quite a while since I skimmed through it. Marcus closed his status window and was about to take out his newbie's guide when he noticed the body of the fire cat that he had just killed. I should probably take this back to my current home before another animal comes by, or I could be in trouble. Marcus then stored the body of the fire cat and headed back to the burnt remains of the logging community. Once there, Marcus decided to butcher the fire cat first so that its meat would not be ruined. He tried his best to skin the animal and remove its pelt, but with his paltry skills Marcus was unable to get the pelt off in one piece and ruined about half of the meat. Unexpectedly, while Marcus was dismantling the cat, he came across a small light green gem. Did it swallow a gem at some point, but it was located around its chest, nowhere near the stomach or intestines. I did not read the section in the guide about beasts, maybe there will be some useful information there. After taking out the newbie's guide, Marcus found the section on beasts and monster. The section was pretty short, only about 1 page, but it did inform Marcus about the green gem he had just found. Okay, so this little green gem I have is a magic core. Only monsters and magical beasts have magic cores, for other creatures such as humans they do not. The guide also mentions that the stronger the beast or monster, the deeper the color green of the core. The core I got was pretty light colored and small, so it is on the weaker side. After searching the guide for more information on magic cores, Marcus only found that they are often used in the making of items or as a source of fuel. After not learning much but some basic knowledge about cores, Marcus then turned his attention to the section on skills again to consolidate his knowledge. At least this section was a lot more detailed and gave me useful information on the working of skills and how special my personal status unique skill is. Marcus found that his personal status unique skill not only allows him to see his status at any time but also allows him to buy specific skills and allocate stat points how he desires. The types of skills cost different amounts based on power, affinity, and the level of the person. So, a powerful skill would be far more expensive for a low-level person than a high-level one. Marcus was now in the dilemma of figuring out what to do with his points. There are way too many skills to choose from and I only have 3 points. Do I choose 3 skills that cost 1 point each or 1 skill that cost 3? I really need skills that increase my combat abilities, but a lot of these skills are not combat-focused like hide, or swordsmanship which won't help me right now like. I would love a magic skill but the only one I found so far is fire magic and it costs 3 points, but I also need the skill magic circulation to use magic. Maybe I can find a cheaper one further down the list. Marcus spent hours poring over the skills he could currently buy and finally settled on 3 skills: fighting, magic circulation, and iron magic. These were the skills that Marcus thought would give him the best combat ability he could have right now. Fighting just increased one's general skill in combat, allowing them to better utilize their abilities, while iron magic was the only magic that Marcus could afford along with magic circulation. Here goes nothing: purchase fighting, magic circulation, and iron magic. Let me also use my stat points since I am using magic. I should give higher priority to spirit and intelligence. Status. Name: Marcus Ferris. Age: 28. Ads by PubFuture. Race: Unbound Ghost Human Irene Soul Tethered. Level: 2. HP: 210 210-130 130ths. MP: 170 170ths. STR: 10+3. AGL: 14. VIT: 10+3. INT: 17. SPR: 18+3. Stat points: 10. Skill points: 0. Unique skills: personal status. Skills: small item box, lesser regeneration LVL1, digging LVL1, fighting LVL1, magic circulation LVL1, iron magic LVL1. Blessing of Iron. Race abilities: invisible, ethereal, chill zone, float, possession, undying. Possessed race abilities: specter powers, ghost sounds LVL1. I put 1 point into strength and vitality just to see what happens and it is now considered a bonus. I guess since I do not normally have a strength or vitality score, it just gets added to whatever body I am currently in. Now what is the tier 1 magic spell that comes with iron magic? Okay, it is called Iron Skin and it allows me to cover my skin in iron that protects me and can be used as a weapon. Let's give it a try. Marcus then cast the Iron Skin spell, which took about 3 seconds to activate, and it covered both of his hands and forearms in a thin layer of iron. Looks like with my current spirit stat I can only cover parts of my body with iron. It cost me 10 megapixels to cast the spell and it is using 1 megapixel every second it is active, so I can hold the spell for a little over 2 minutes currently. Marcus then tested how strong his new power was by first taking out a nut and finding that he could now crush it in his hands. He then went over to a rock and punched it as hard as he could, and cracks started to appear all over the rock. That still hurt a bit, but the iron skin did absorb most of the impact and its power is pretty good. Now I have a decent weapon in defense, but this still will not help me in case I have to fight another fire cat. I should make some other weapons even if they are really crude. Marcus then got to work on making some basic weapons that he could use to fight with so he could level up before leaving in 3 weeks. See 11 to 10 A real fight. Marcus began making some basic wooden stone-tipped spears as it was the best weapon he could make currently. Luckily for Marcus there were many good pieces of wood around for him to turn into spears. Searching around the stones to use as the spear tips took Marcus quite a while, but once he found 5 usable rocks, he activated his Iron Skin spell and used his own hand to sharpen the stone. I finally have some weapons to use. They are pretty basic but hopefully they can get the job done. I think I should also use a long stick as a polearm, and I should be able to make sling as well. Examining all of the logs and sticks that Marcus had, he eventually found the one he thought would work best as a polearm. He then got to work on making a sling, which took him the rest of the day as he had to test and try out many things until he made a decent sling. Now I should be able to fight a lot better than before and level up faster. Now that he had completed his goal, Marcus noticed how late it had gotten and how hungry he was. He proceeded to make a fire and cook some of the meat from the fire cat he had killed earlier. Ah, that hit the spot. I was so focused on my work I forgot to eat. Now that I have eaten, I am really tired. I made a good amount of progress today, and starting tomorrow I am really going to have to work hard. I only have about 3 weeks before the time I decided to leave. If I wait too long it will become much harder to find Irene's little sister and save her. Marcus headed to his makeshift bed and went to sleep to rest for the coming day. Once morning came around, Marcus quickly ate and went back to reset his pitfall trap. He hurriedly reset the trap and baited it with some cooked meat from the fire cat and went to hide nearby. After around 2 hours, Marcus heard a loud crash followed by a yelp. After judging that from the sound the creature was not very big, Marcus headed towards the trap to check on his prey. When he arrived, he was in for a very unwanted surprise. Crap, it had to be a pack of animals, and there are over 10 of them. They look a bit like coyotes, but they are pitch black. I really screwed myself this time. The coyotes, noticing Marcus's arrival, rear up and charge at him. Marcus takes out one of the spears he recently made and casts iron skin covering his hands and forearms. When the two lead coyotes got within 5 feet of Marcus, one of them suddenly jumped at the other and disappeared into its shadow. In the next instance it appeared behind Marcus and bit into his left calf. Ow, fuck, they can jump in and out of shadows. Ads by PubFuture. The other lead coyote then jumped at Marcus's throat, hoping for a quick and easy kill. Fortunately, with the help of his fighting skill, Marcus kept his calm and knew what to do. He swiftly took out another spear with his left hand and stabbed it into the coyote biting his calf and brought his right arm in front of his neck. The coyote that lunged at his throat bit into his right arm only to have its teeth shatter on the iron skin currently covering Marcus. The two injured coyotes then retreated and regrouped with the other members of their pack. Okay, I managed to fend off their initial assault, and now they are circling around me to prepare for their next attack. I should cast iron skin on my legs instead of my arms so they can't get any more sneak attacks on me. While the coyotes were getting into a formation to attack Marcus, he recast iron skin and covered his legs and feet this time to prevent any more attacks on his legs. The coyotes began their attack, 3 coming from the front and 2 coming from both sides. One from each side jumped into a shadow and reappeared behind Marcus and took bites into his legs only to find they were now covered by a layer of iron. The 3 in front timed their attacks perfectly for when Marcus would be reeling from the bites on his legs. Unfortunately for the coyotes, Marcus had prepared for this, and the 2 coyotes that had taken a bite out of his leg currently had shattered teeth. He then took his 2 spears and stabbed them into 2 of the ones lunging at him from the front and performed a high kick on the remaining one. However, even though Marcus had successfully repelled 5 of the attacking coyotes, the other 2 coming from the side clawed and bite into his upper thighs. He dropped the 2 spears in his hands and pulled out his polearm and knocked of the 2 coyotes biting him. Shit, this hurts. I feel like I can barely stand. I have injured half of them pretty badly, but the remaining half are still in good condition. I am also running out of MP and will not be able to use iron skin much longer. Need a plan or I am going to die. While the coyotes were regrouping and getting ready for another round of attack, Marcus was looking around trying to formulate a plan to survive. He searched around for a couple of seconds and then saw what would help him win this fight. Marcus quickly began running towards his pitfall with the uninjured coyotes giving quick chase after their fleeing prey. Once at the edge of the hole, Marcus jumped in, seeing an injured and surprised coyote at the bottom. The polearm connected with the ground, bent and then shattered, but took some of the impact for Marcus as his legs slammed down. With the help of his polearm and iron skin enchanted legs, Marcus was able to remain standing from the fall. He immediately took out the ladder he made and placed it on the wall of the pit. The coyotes that were chasing him then began to fall into the hole, unable to stop their momentum. By the time they had regained their senses, Marcus was already halfway up the ladder. Marcus soon reached the top and put the ladder back in his item box. He stood up and saw the injured coyotes fleeing except for the 2 with spears stuck in them laying on the ground dying. Ha, I won. 7 trapped in a pit. 2 bleeding out, and the rest injured and retreating. I think I need to sit down and let my legs heal a while, those coyotes are not going anywhere anyway. Marcus took a few dozen minutes to rest and heal his injured legs while looking down into the pit, seeing the coyotes frantically trying to get out by merging with the shadow. Alas, the range on their ability seemed to be only around 5 feet, so none of them were able to get out of the hole. After healing up, Marcus went over and finished of the 2 dying coyotes and then went over and dropped rocks on the 7 in the pitfall trap until they stopped moving. You have leveled up to level 3. You have leveled up to level 4. Wait, did I just level up twice? See, 12 to 11 gaining ground. That was one heck of a battle that I just finished, and I have miraculously gained 2 levels somehow. Marcus activated his status and looked through his personal logs, seeing that he leveled up because he completed an achievement recognized by the system as substantial. Defeat a group of enemies while outnumbered and outmatched in a battle you had no reason winning. Wow, kind of rude saying I had no reason winning that fight. I mean, yeah, I was horribly outmatched, and without their initial blunder and my pitfall trap I probably would have died, but I still won in the end. I should collect all of the shadow coyotes' bodies and head back to base to recuperate and figure out what to do with my new stat and skill points. Marcus went around collecting the 9 bodies of the coyotes he had killed and stored them in his item box. He also picked up the spears he had dropped during the fight, cleaned the blood off of them and put them back into his item box. Okay, everything is cleaned up around here, let's head back and check out my gains from this battle. Marcus trekked back through the forest to where the small logging community once resided. On the way back he encountered a weird monkey bat thing that immediately lashed out at him, fangs first. Marcus summoned a spear from his item box and threw it towards the oncoming beast. The monkey bat dodged the spear, but it gave Marcus enough time to activate his iron skin spell for defense. The creature tried to bite Marcus right in the neck, but he put up his left arm for defense. However, the sharp fangs of the money bat managed to pierce through Marcus's iron skin. As Marcus felt his blood begin drained, he summoned out another spear and stabbed it into the neck of the beast latched onto his arm. The monkey bat tried to fly away after being stabbed, but Marcus grabbed onto its leg as it tried to flee and slammed it into the ground. After attacking me like that, you are not getting away after stealing some of my blood. Marcus then lifted his spear, stabbed through the creature and into the ground to prevent it from escaping. He then took out another spear and jabbed it right into its head as the creature was screaming and flailing about. The monkey bat stopped moving after having its head impaled and the battle was won. Damn, as much as I thought this world might be fun with its game-like system, but it is at moments like these that I really miss my comfy bed and smartphone. That fucker attacked me out of nowhere, and if I had not seen it before it attacked, I would probably have been killed. I also feel incredibly weak right now and my arm has not stopped bleeding. Marcus checked his status and noticed he had a condition called vitality drain and that his vitality score had dropped by 3, lowering his HP by 30. Ads by PubFuture. Great, now I am going to have to wait longer until my vitality comes back up. Hopefully I can make it back to my base without being jumped again. Marcus then continued on his way back home, having to wrap up his still bleeding arm and hoping that it would stop bleeding soon. Once he made it back, he sat down and recovered for a few hours until the wound fully closed, and he felt less exhausted. He then got to work on dismantling the coyotes he had just killed. He tried his best to skin all of them and butcher the meat, but he messed up a few times on the first 7, but on the final 2 he was able to do a respectable job. After dismantling the coyotes, Marcus went onto the bat monkey that had attacked him and managed to do a decent job, even though it was his first time with such a weird creature. At a certain point it just felt like I had a bit of intuition on how to properly take apart the bodies without ruining them. Maybe I got a skill that helps me to carve up beasts and monsters that I kill. After checking his status, Marcus did indeed have a new skill called disassembly that helped him to take apart corpses with more precision and less chance of ruining the valuable parts of the body. That's a pretty nice skill, and it only took me getting the blood and guts of around 24 animals on me to acquire. On another note, the lesser regeneration skill had been my savior. Without it I probably would have died of blood loss from the 2 battles I just had. I mean, it took hours of excruciating pain to get, but it has been invaluable for keeping me alive. I know even if this body was killed, I would not die, but having the soul tether destroyed, my soul would take permanent damage and I would be without a body again. Now I need to use my new skill and stat points. I need to figure out if it is worth it to try and upgrade my skills or buy new ones. Marcus assigned his stat points first, going with 3 points to strength and vitality, 4 points to agility, and 5 points to both intelligence and spurt. After that he looked at how many skill points it would take to upgrade his iron magic and was surprised to see that it would cost him all 6 of the skill points. He currently had to level it up. Damn, that is expensive even with my blessing of iron that gives me a high affinity for metal-based skills. I guess at level 4 I am not normally strong enough to have a level 2 magic skill. I should just pick up some level 1 skills and I can always train the skill to level it up instead of using skill points. Marcus scoured through the massive list of available skills looking for some that would be beneficial for him. There were tons of skills he considered not very useful, such as jumping, climbing, whistling, and other random skills. After spending hours reading through all of the skills he could acquire, Marcus settles on 2. He chose the stealth skill for 2 points and the lighting magic skill for 3, leaving 1 point left over since he could not find any skill for 1 point he really wanted. The stealth skill should be pretty useful since I have come to realize just walking around in the open like I have been is a good way to get myself killed. If I ran into that massive wolf or scaled bear, I am certain I would currently have no way to fight or escape. This lighting magic sounds cool, and I think it could pair really well with my iron magic. I was really close to choosing fire magic, but in the end, I think lightning will be more useful and less likely to burn down the forest. Marcus spent the next hour testing his new skills, learning how to move silently and keep his body hidden with the stealth skill and practicing with the tier 1 lightning spell Spark. After exhausting himself he crawled back into his temporary bed and fell asleep, wondering what the coming days would bring. C13 to 12 natural treasures. Marcus wakes up once again, a part of him hoping his experience on Mirian had all been a dream and that he was still in his hotel room ready to continue his vacation. Welp, I am still on Mirian, still a ghost possessing a dead girl's body and sleeping on a pile of rags I call a bed. I am still staying in a cramped, damp cellar in the middle of a burned down community. Oh well, I have to keep on living. Eventually I should reap some rewards from all the suffering I have had to endure. Marcus got up and went through his daily routine, getting water from the well, cooking some meat and nuts for breakfast, and cleaning off his body the best he could. I did not notice yesterday because of how frantic I was, but my clothes are in pretty bad shape. My pants have holes all over them and my shirt looks like I have been attacked by a slasher. Unfortunately, there are no other clothes around here and I have zero tailoring skills whatsoever. I still have a couple of weeks before I plan to leave, and I hope I can reach at least level 10 before leaving. I guess I should have a quick look at my status before heading out for the day. Status. Name: Marcus Ferris. Age: 28. Race: Unbound Ghost Human Irene Soul Tethered. Level: 4. HP: 260 260ths minus 180 180ths. Ads by PubFuture. MP: 220 220ths. STR: 10 plus 8. AGL: 18. VIT: 10 plus 8. Int: 22. SPR: 23 plus 3. Stat points: 0. Skill points: 1. Unique skills: Personal status. Skills: Small item box, Lesser regeneration LVL1, Digging LVL1, Fighting LVL1, Magic circulation LVL1, Iron magic LVL1, Disassembly LVL1, Stealth LVL1, Lightning magic LVL1. Blessing of Iron. Race abilities: Invisible, Ethereal, Chill Zone, Float, Possession, Undying. Possessed race abilities: Spectre powers, Ghost sounds LVL1. Ads by PubFuture. Yep, looks good. I can see how much progress I have made since coming here. The passive bonus given by my Blessing of Iron has made it so my strength and vitality scores can still keep up with my other stats. Going forward I need to figure out if I want to keep going with a more balanced approach or just dump all of my stats into magic. Marcus spent a great amount of time lamenting about his future decision on whether to continue staying balanced with his stats or pushing everything he has into magic. I have decided I should keep the balanced approach, as cool as magic as I am currently alone, and if my magic is not up to a certain task I will be screwed. Since I currently have to do everything, myself sticking as an all-rounder who is focused on magic but not devoted sounds good. Marcus went about his day a bit different than usual. He did not head for his pitfall trap but headed deeper into the woods to practice his stealth skill. He soon came across a family of some type of rat which he shadowed for around an hour to practice his stealth skill. During the time he managed to stay hidden from the rat and other beast until he made a mistake and tripped over a tree root and face planted into the ground. Aw fuck, that was so stupid. I tailed the stinking rats for a whole hour only to trip on a root. Whatever, at least I know my stealth skill is pretty effective now. I guess I will head back now. Marcus then headed back towards the destroyed community he currently resided in. However, along the way he saw a large boar digging into the ground looking for something. Marcus decided to investigate and snuck towards the boar and saw that it had just unearthed some shining mushrooms. Marcus knew at once that he had to have those mushrooms, as he had read in the newbie's guide about natural treasures that could give bonuses to stats, give special skills, or even level people up. He was not sure if these mushrooms were really natural treasures, but even if they were not, he had to try. Marcus approached the boar using his stealth skill, and right as it was about to take a bite of the first mushroom, Marcus leapt out towards it. He cast his new lighting magic spell Spark immediately on the boar, causing it to spasm and grunt in pain. While the boar was stunned, he took out 2 spears and jammed them into both of its eyes. The boar reeled back in pain and started to thrash about, trying to impale Marcus with its tusks. However, Marcus had already retreated and moved away from the rampaging boar. The boar soon stopped flailing around and began sniffing the air. Once it locked onto Marcus's scent, it charged towards him. Unfortunately for the boar, this had been a part of Marcus's plan, as the boar slammed right into the tree Marcus was hiding behind. As the boar impacted into the tree, it broke the 2 spears jammed into its eyes but also pushed them deeper into its head. The boar began spasming on the ground from the pain, and Marcus came around and began to pummel it with his arms covered in iron skin and electricity. The boar could no longer offer any resistance as it was beaten and electrocuted to death. I definitely thought I had gotten stronger, but this gives me some real proof at how powerful I have become. This time I was able to win a fight without the use of a trap, and I got out uninjured. My stealth skill is really paying off. Without it I never would have been able to catch this boar by surprise. The problem now is that I do not have enough room in my item box to store it. Guess I will just take out some of the old equipment I don't need right now. Marcus emptied out some space in his item box by dropping old saws and planks of wood he did not think he would ever need. Once he had made some space, he put the body of the boar into his item box and headed over towards the unearthed mushrooms. While these mushrooms are quite beautiful now that I see them up close, they are glowing vibrant colors like red and orange, and there is even one purple mushroom. I should pick them quickly before another creature comes and steals them. After gathering up a dozen glowing mushrooms of various colors, Marcus made his way back home to inspect his recent gains. I managed to get 3 red mushrooms, 2 orange, 2 blue, 1 purple, 2 yellow, and 2 green. Let me try one of the red ones first and see what it does. Marcus began eating one of his red mushrooms, and as soon as he took the first bite, he immediately threw the rest of the mushroom into his mouth as he savored the best flavor he had tasted since coming to this world. It took all of his willpower to not continue to plop mushrooms into his mouth one after another and check his status. Yep, it is as I thought. It really is a natural treasure. The red mushroom raised my strength score by 1, and these things are really delicious. Marcus then ate one of each color and checked his status to see what effect each mushroom had. He found that the blue increased his agility, the orange his vitality, the purple his intelligence, the yellow his spirit, and the green gave straight express. I feel great. Those mushrooms were some of the best things I have ever had, and I basically got a full level worth of stats from them. And I am now incredibly close to leveling up again. This has been the best day I have had on Mirian. If every day was like this, I think I could really like it here. Too bad natural treasures are incredibly rare and hard to find. If not for the boar sniffing them out for me, I never would have known they were there. Speaking of that boar, I still need to butcher it. Marcus took out the body of the boar and began to dismantle it, taking great care to not damage the valuable parts, especially the tusks. With the help of his disassembly skill, he managed to get the tusks out and only ruined a small part of the pelt of the boar in the process. However, even with his skill, it was his first time cutting into a boar, and he ruined most of the meat because he made a few cuts too deep into its stomach. Well, it is a good thing those mushrooms have already filled me up, and I can still use it as bait for my trap. It really has been a good day and I think I have finally come to accept that this world is my new home. From this point onward I am going to have to take a few more risks, but if I am successful, I will be able to get stronger much faster. The whole world is waiting for me and this is my start line. C14-13 time moves on. After Marcus's exceptionally good day where he defeated a large boar without getting injured and obtained some stat-boosting mushrooms, he started up a new training program. Now Marcus would bait his pitfall trap and head out into the woods and stealthy look for other creatures to fight. While doing this he would find various creatures from a small pack of dogs to beasts that were complete abominations from what he knew on Earth. If the creature looked like he could beat it, he would take the initiative with a sneak attack. Marcus would then check his pitfall trap every few hours and if a creature was stuck in it, he would dispatch them. With this method Marcus was able to gain express much faster than he had before. While sneaking around the forest Marcus would occasionally see creatures he knew he had no chance against. One day he saw a massive vaguely humanoid monster that looked like depictions of a troll or ogre from Earth fiction. Marcus made sure to stay away from that area for the rest of his stay in the woods. Marcus managed to get through the remaining 2 weeks with his current training method. He had quite a few close calls during his training, such as being jumped by a feathered lizard that looked like a dinosaur and having a swarm of large bees attack him. In the end though he had been able to get out of the situations by staying calm, using his brain, and getting really lucky. Now it was his last day before he planned to leave, and he had managed to hit level 8. Now I can see why the average level for people is 13. The express curve got much harder after level 5. I was hoping I could reach level 10 before leaving, but I should be able to get to level 10 during my journey to save Lilia. I should check my status to make sure that the poison from the giant spider I killed earlier is gone and then check my trap one last time and call it a day. Status. Name: Marcus Ferris. Age: 28. Race: Unbound Ghost Human Irene Soul Tethered. Level: 8. HP: 400 400s 270 270ths. MP: 350 350ths. STR: 10 + 18. AGL: 30. VIT: 10 + 17. INT: 35. SPR: 37 + 3. Stat points: 0. Skill points: 2. Unique skills: Personal status. Skills: Small item box, lesser regeneration LVL1, digging LVL1, fighting LVL2, magic circulation LVL2, iron magic LVL2, disassembly LVL2, stealth LVL2, lightning magic LVL1, creature appraisal LVL1, fire magic LVL1, danger sense LVL1. Blessing of Iron. Race abilities: Invisible, Ethereal, Chill Zone, Float, Possession, Undying. Adds by PubFuture. Possessed race abilities: Spectre powers, Ghost. Sounds. Looks good. The poison effect has worn off and my HP is back up to max. One last look at my hard-working pitfall trap and I will be done with this forest. Marcus leisurely walked over to his pitfall trap, not really expecting to find anything since he had only reset the trap around an hour ago and it normally took a bit longer for something to get caught in the trap. Unfortunately for Marcus, something had triggered his trap, something he was hoping not to see again. Sitting next to his trap with a very angry expression was a bear that had scales over its body like armor. Once Marcus came into view, the bear locked onto him with its angry expression and let out a menacing growl. Oh shit, it looks pissed. The fucker waited for me to come back just to kill me. It is a bit smaller than the other one I saw before, but it is still around 7 feet long. I can't see its level, so it must be higher than me. Think Marcus, how are you going to get out of this? Marcus started to weave his spells and formulate a plan when the scaled bear got up and charged towards him. The bear was incredible fast and was on top of Marcus in an instant. The bear opened its jaws to take a massive bite out of Marcus. Right as the jaws were just inches away from him, Marcus suddenly jerked back, missing the toothy maw of the bear by mere inches. Marcus had used his new Tier 2 iron magic spell Iron Threads to attach himself to a tree behind him and pull back for a quick burst of speed. Marcus then unleashed his Tier 1 fire spell Fire Shot towards the bear. The fire shot hit the bear square in the face, however, its sturdy scales protected from most of the damage and the bear was even more pissed off. The bear continued its charge towards Marcus, attacking with its claws this time. Marcus could sense a huge amount of danger and ducked and rolled out of the way of the claw as it impacted against the tree that was behind Marcus. Cutting deep into it, Marcus then used his iron threads to tie up the bear's hind legs and sent his spark spell through the threads towards the bear. The bear let out a roar full of rage as it was shocked by the spark spell, and it ripped the iron threads binding its hind legs. The bear then began to attack Marcus in a frenzy as Marcus did his best to dodge the bear's attack by using the trees, and when that was impossible he would defend with his iron skin. After running around playing defense for a few minutes, Marcus was covered in wounds and had a piece of his right arm missing where the bear bit a chunk out of it. The bear charged towards the exhausted and wounded Marcus to deal the finishing blow when Marcus's mouth curved up into a smile. "Checkmate, you vindictive bear." Marcus then pulled his iron threads with all the might he had left in him, and the tree he had been using to absorb dozens of the bear's attack began to fall. The bear, noticing this, tried to stop its charge, but it was too late as the 70-foot-tall tree crashed onto the bear. After using up all of his strength, Marcus collapsed onto the ground. He looked towards the tree and saw as the dust began to settle that the bear, while still alive, was trapped under the tree. "You were certainly one tough bastard, but I won. My whole body hurts everywhere. This is the most pain I have felt since I first possessed this body. I only have about 40 HP left and I can't move right now. Hopefully nothing comes by in the next few hours or I really will be screwed." Marcus laid on the ground for hours, letting his HP slowly recover. The bear struggled with all of its might to get out from under the tree, but to no avail. After it had exhausted itself, it stared at Marcus with a furious expression, and if looks could kill, Marcus would have been turned into a bloody pulp. "I feel a lot better now, still really sore, but at least I can move again. Okay, now I need to figure out a way to kill this bear to get the express and so it does not have to suffer any longer." Marcus began trying everything he could to kill the bear, but his threads could not pierce its body and his spark spell could only hurt the bear, not finish it off. After a few minutes of trying to kill the bear, Marcus finally thought of a way to do it, although it was a horribly cruel method. However, it would have been crueler to leave the bear here to slowly starve, so Marcus reluctantly forced the bear's mouth shut with his threads and then covered its nose. The bear began to thrash around again with renewed strength as its breathing was sealed. Unfortunately for the bear, it could do nothing to stop its impending suffocation. After a few dozen minutes, the bear's life came to an end and Marcus heard the familiar sound of leveling up. "You have leveled up to level 9. I managed to make it to level 9, only one level off my original goal. I guess in certain way this was my final test before leaving these. I am going to miss this place a bit, but at the same time I cannot wait to get out of this forest and rejoin civilization." Marcus quickly stored the bear's corpse in his item box and left his pitfall trap for the last time. Once he made it back to his base, he tried to dismantle the bear's corpse, but its scales were too strong for him to cut through. Dejected, Marcus made the decision to leave the bear's body in the woods and let whatever animal could eat it have it. He then headed to sleep in the storage cellar on his bed of rags, excited and frightened of the journey he was about to set off on. See 15 to 14 Out of the Woods. The day had finally arrived. Marcus got up full of excitement and began to arrange his item box with everything he wanted to keep. He left a lot of the old tools and other surplus items he had, taking only one of each useful item. He then packed the rest of the item box with food and water and his other valuables like the beast pelts and magic stones he had. Once he had finished organizing his items, he had about half of his item box free. "I really had been carrying around a bunch of junk. As much as 10 cubic feet may not seem like that much, it is still a pretty big amount as long as you do not stuff it full of unnecessary stuff. I guess the last things I need to do before I leave is spend my skill and stat points and pay my respect to the former residents of this community." Marcus assigned his skill points as usual: 1 point to strength and vitality, 2 to agility, and 3 to both spirit and intelligence. After that he went through the skill list looking for useful skills. He soon came across one, however it would cost him all 5 of his saved skill points. This skill is incredibly useful but so expensive, but there is nothing else other than basic skills like swordsmanship or jump which are not very useful to me now. Fine, I am going to do it. Better to not need it than regret not having it. Marcus then spent all 5 of his skill points to obtain the dark vision skill. He felt that the ability to see clearly even in pitch darkness was too valuable to pass up. Okay, let me look at my status before paying my respects and then it will be time to leave. Status: Name: Marcus Ferris. Age: 28. Race. Unbound ghost human Irene soul tethered. Level. 9. HP. 430 430ths minus 290 290ths. MP. 380 380ths. Ads by PubFuture. STR. 10 plus 20. AGL. 32. VIT. 10 plus 19. INT. 38. SPR. 40 plus 3. Stat points. 0. Skill points. Unique skills. Personal status. Skills. Small item box, lesser regeneration LVL1, digging LVL1, fighting LVL2, magic circulation LVL2, iron magic LVL2, disassembly LVL2, stealth LVL2, lightning magic LVL1, creature appraisal LVL1, fire magic LVL1, danger sense LVL1, dark vision LVL1. Blessing of Iron. Race abilities. Invisible, Ethereal, Chill Zone, Float, Possession, Undying. Possessed race abilities. Spectre powers. Ghost sounds LVL1. After checking his status, Marcus headed over to the graves he dug for the former inhabitants of the small logging community. He offered his prayers for them and promised that he would try to save the other people who were kidnapped along with Lilia. Now it is time for me to leave. The Slavers have a month head start on me, but moving all those people will slow them down. As long as I can find the trail, I should eventually be able to save Lilia, even if I have to resort to unsavory methods. Marcus walked towards the neglected dirt path he knew would lead him out of the woods and towards the nearest village. Marcus knew it would take around 3 days of walking to reach the next village from the fragments of Irene's memory. Ads by PubFuture. Marching through the remnants of the path that no one had used for a month, Marcus began his descent out of the forest. While the days were longer on Mirian than they had been on Earth, around 30 hours instead of 24, the tall canopy of the dense forest blocked out a majority of the light and made the days seem to end sooner. After hours of hiking through the woods, when there was only a little bit of light left, Marcus decided to set up camp. He laid out his tarp to sit on and then began making a fire for warmth and to make dinner. After cooking up some of the assorted meats in his item box and roasting some nuts, Marcus began to enjoy his dinner. Once he was finished, he began to lay out the rest of the old cloths he used as a bedspread. While preparing for bed, he noticed a flicker of movement at the edge of his dark vision. What the hell was that? Did my cooking attract some type of beast? Since it is hiding in the shadows, it is probably not that powerful, otherwise it would. Oh shit. As Marcus was contemplating what he could have seen in the shadows, an arrow came racing toward him from his right side. With the help of his danger sense, Marcus managed to dodge the arrow within a hair's breadth. Marcus cast his iron skin spell and covered his arms and legs as more arrows began to barrage him from every direction. With the use of his danger sense and iron skin, Marcus deflected all of the arrows coming towards him. After around a minute, the arrow attack ceased and the creatures that were attacking Marcus came within the range of his dark vision. Green skin, big heads, red eyes, kind of small. If those aren't goblins, then I'm not a ghost. Once the goblins had come into view and began to surround Marcus, he started to check their levels. He found that the highest level of the 7 goblins was 8, while the lowest was 3, with most of them being level 5 or 6. Okay, I am stronger than any one of them, but I need to finish this fast before I run out of MP. Should I go for the strongest or weakest first? I can probably kill the weakest one with one attack, but if I run out of gas while the strongest one is still up, I do not know if I can beat it. The goblins, having surrounded Marcus, brandished their weapons toward him. Most just had crude wooden clubs, but one had a rusty sword, and the leader had an old iron spear. Seeing their weapons, Marcus charged towards the leader first, hoping for a quick kill on the most troublesome foe. The goblin, seeing its prey, charged towards it, thrust its spear. However, Marcus brushed it aside with his arm clad in iron, grabbed the spear and pulled the goblin in for a kick. As the powerful kick impacted the lead goblin, it went flying a few feet, losing grip on its spear. The remaining 6 goblins did not remain idle, as 3 began to attack Marcus from the right, 2 from the left, and 1 from behind. Marcus cast his iron thread spell and entangled the 3 goblins coming from his right, and swept his spear towards the 2 on the left. Marcus then cast his spark spell, sending electricity down his iron threads, electrocuting the goblins tied up by his threads. However, the goblin with the rusty sword parried Marcus's spear, allowing the other goblins to close in on Marcus. Marcus raised his leg to block the club of the goblin attacking from the left, but the weakest one coming from behind slammed its club into Marcus's unguarded back. Marcus then threw a kick back towards the goblin behind him, knocking it away as the goblin with the rusty sword slashed towards Marcus. Marcus cast fire shot point blank at the goblin's face in an attempt to stop its advance, and while the fire shot blasted the goblin, its momentum carried its attack through, giving Marcus a horrible wound. The goblin with the sword began to writhe on the ground from its horribly burned face, and Marcus grasped his stomach where he was now profusely bleeding. The remaining two goblins did not let this chance slip by and began to assault Marcus with their clubs. Doing his best to block their attacks, Marcus struggled with everything he had, but his movement were dulled from his wounds. The club strikes kept coming and more managed to connect against Marcus when, as the goblins were going to deliver the final blow, they suddenly could no longer move. "Here, let me pay you back, Spark." With Marcus's iron threads coiled around the goblins, his spark spell finished off the last two goblins assaulting him. "That was rough. I never imagined that I would get ambushed by a bunch of goblins. I should be more careful from now on and not have a fire or cook any food at night. I should store their corpses and weapon and move somewhere else for the night." Marcus began hobbling over towards the bodies of the goblins when he saw the first goblin he kicked and disarmed come out. It bent down and picked up the rusty sword from its fallen comrade and glared towards Marcus. The goblin had a dent in its stomach and blood dribbling out of its mouth, but Marcus was doing no better, beaten and bleeding all over and out of MP. The goblin charged towards Marcus, sword in hand. Marcus was doing his best to defend against the goblin's onslaught, but even with a higher level, Marcus was too injured to keep up for long. "I did not want to resort to this strategy, but I am going to lose at this rate." Marcus then, instead of using his spear to block the goblin's sword, used his bare arm. The sword cut down into Marcus's arm, only stopping once it was halfway through the bone. In that moment, Marcus grit his teeth to endure the searing pain and jammed his spear into the goblin's head. The two of them collapsed simultaneously, the goblin dying and Marcus using up the last of his strength. In his last moments before passing out, Marcus thought, "It is a good thing that sword was not well maintained, otherwise I would have certainly lost my arm." Marcus woke about an hour later. His wounds had stopped bleeding, but he was sore all over and still had a sword stuck in his arm. Marcus removed the sword, enduring the pain as more blood began to seep out of his arm. Marcus knew he needed to get to a safe location before the carnage attracted a predator or more goblins showed up. He quickly stored the goblin corpses and weapons and used the small amount of MP he had regained to cast iron threads and climb into a tree. Once nestled safely in the tree, Marcus once again embraced unconsciousness. Marcus woke up after spending many hours recuperating. He had slept much longer than usual and the sun was already high in the sky. "My arm has healed up pretty well and my HP is back to full, but I still feel like I got hit by a bus. I am going to need to be a lot more careful from now on, because if there was even one more goblin I would have been toast." Marcus climbed down the tree and headed back down the path. Now that he knew that goblins were around, Marcus moved extra carefully, using his stealth skill the entire way out of the forest. While it took 2 extra days to get through the forest because he needed to avoid multiple goblin camps and patrols, Marcus eventually came out of the woods and laid his eyes on the first live human settlement he had seen since coming to Mirian, C16 to 15 civilization. There it is, the little village on the edge of the woods. The trees have become a lot scarcer, replaced by grasslands, and it is still pretty hilly. The village looks like it is growing nut trees like the ones I found in the woods, and I also see herds of animals in the distance. As Marcus got closer, he was able to better make out the animals and could see that they were goats and some type of yak. The goats look pretty normal, but those yaks are a bit smaller and stouter than the ones on Earth. Now that I think about it, these goats are the first animals I have seen that look almost exactly like animals from Earth. Once Marcus got to the edge of the village, he began to see quite a few people picking nut and taking care of animals. The people soon noticed Marcus as well and started to stare and whisper to each other. Soon one of the men who looked like he was in charge came towards Marcus. The man started to speak to Marcus with a concerned look on his face, but all Marcus heard was gibberish. "Crap, I do not know the language that these people speak. Wait, I almost forgot I have the long token I was given when I first came here." Marcus took out his language token, and the next time the man spoke he received a notification. "Would you like to learn Boralian?" "Yes please." Information suddenly filled Marcus's head, giving him a major headache, but after a few moments the headache stopped, and his head was filled with a new language. Miss, are you okay? Yeah, I am fine, just a bit of a headache. Wait, did I just understand him? And I talked back as well, my first human conversation in what feels like an eternity. Ah, you had me worried there for a second, I thought you were badly injured. Might I ask who you are and why you came out of the Great Gone Woods? Shit, what do I say? I guess I should just steal Irene's identity at this point. Hopefully this is not like a village from a horror movie where they sacrifice outsiders to their god. My name is Irene and I come from the small logging community about 3 days north into the woods. The man's face suddenly had a solemn look as he stared at Marcus. He pondered for many moments before he opened his mouth to speak again. There certainly was a girl called Irene that lived in the small community a little north of here, and you do have striking resemblance to her, but she had a horrible burn scare on her face and shoulder. Wait, the scar is gone. When did that happen? Did my lesser regeneration skill heal even such an old wound? It may not be the fastest, but it sure is effective. Ah yes, I did have a scar on the left side of my face and shoulder, but I recently got a healing skill that has gotten rid of the scar. The man looked at Marcus full of suspicion. Marcus knew that his story sounded pretty far-fetched since he imagined self-healing skills were pretty rare. Marcus thought quickly and took out the knife tied to his waist and cut his index finger. Marcus showed the man how the wound began to close at a visible speed until around 10 seconds later it was closed. The man looked at Marcus with a face full of shock. How a random girl in the middle of the woods could get such a rare skill was baffling. By the time the man had collected himself, a small crowd of people had amassed around Marcus. Ads by PubFuture. You really are Irene then? I am sorry for doubting you, but if you do not mind me asking, do you know what happened to the rest of your community? The normal shipment of wood was supposed to come a week ago, and we thought something bad might have happened when we noticed the goblins occupying the trail. Marcus then told the tale of the slavers that came through and ransacked the community and kidnapped the women and children. He told the story truthfully for the most part until he came to Irene's death. In his new version, Irene was stabbed by one of the slavers and left for dead when she miraculously awakened her healing skill and spent the next month recuperating and gathering supplies to make the trip to the village. The village folk had looks of surprise and then sorrow and anger on their faces after hearing the story. I am incredibly sorry for what happened to you and your family. Those men did pass through here about a month ago, but they told us that they were here to pick up a large order of lumber. If we had known they were slavers, we could have tried to stop them. Marcus looked over the villagers, and while he appreciated the sentiment, he knew that these unarmed villagers, who all have a single-digit level other than the lead man, had no chance of stopping the armed slavers. Thank you very much for your condolences, but could you tell me which way those men went? I have to go and save my little sister no matter what. Many of the villagers started to cry at Marcus's words, some because of how touching it was and other because of how futile it would be to try. The man who had been speaking to Marcus walked up and put his hand on Marcus's shoulder and said, "Listen, Irene, I know you must want to save your sister with your entire being, but you should give up and stay here. Even if you did pull off a miracle and found her, rescuing her would be impossible. You should just stay here and we will help take care of you. It is already a miracle that you are alive. You should not throw your life away on a futile quest." Marcus was surprised by the concern and sincerity of the man, but he has already promised that he would see Irene's last wish through to the end. I know that you are concerned for me, but I have to do it. I already promised myself I would save Lilia no matter the cost. The villagers, seeing the resolution in Marcus's eyes, knew that there was nothing they could do to stop him. Very well, at least stay the night here in the village. You can stay at my house so you can talk to my dad. He knows this area the best out of any of us. Thank you, I will take you up on your hospitality. By the way, is your dad some kind of traveler or something? The man had a slightly disappointed look on his face when he heard Marcus, but soon began to laugh. Was I really so unrememberable that you do not recognize the village chief's son? Marcus looked at the man with a surprised face and quickly made up something about how the injury made his memory a bit fuzzy in some places, and that was why he did not remember the people of the village very well. The man had a sad look on his face but introduced himself as Amos. Amos led Marcus through the village and stopped outside the largest building. He then turned around and said, "My old man knows a good deal about the surrounding area and should hopefully be able to point you in the right direction of those bastards." See 17 to 16. The kindness of people. The son of the village chief, Amos opens the door to his house and begins calling for his father. He turns around and beckons Marcus to follow him inside. Walking inside, Marcus sees a large room with some simple furniture made of wood and a gentle fire burning in the fireplace. There is a young girl with blonde hair, maybe around 12, cooking what appears to be a stew in a large pot over the fireplace. A few moments later, an old man that looks like a professional bodybuilder comes barging in yelling. "Amos, what is all the yapping for? I can hear you fine without you yelling so loud, and aren't you supposed to be leading the others in harvesting the trees?" "Yes, father, but there is someone here who needs to speak with you, and the harvesting will be fine even without me there." The old man then looks over at Marcus, studying him before he once again opens his mouth and begins speaking. "Ah, good for you, Amos, you finally got yourself a wife. I do not know what you see in my boy, but please take care of him from now on." The village chief's statement leaves both Amos and Marcus with shocked expressions on their faces. Marcus in particular has a hard time processing what this old man just said. After a couple of seconds, the old man begins to laugh uncontrollably, obviously pleased with the reactions of both Marcus and Amos. After laughing for about a minute, the old man begins to speak again. "Sorry, I just could not help but to make a joke at my son's expense. Hopefully it was not too uncomfortable for you, miss." "Oh, I think he is asking for my name. I guess I should give Irene's name again, since calling myself Marcus is bound to cause trouble." "Ah yes, my name is Irene, and I came from the small logging community a little ways north of here." Ads by PubFuture. The village chief ponders for a moment, looking over Marcus and staring intently at the left side of his face. Irene, ah yes, Vance's daughter. However, while you do have quite the resemblance to her, she was horribly scared by a burn on the left side of her face and shoulder." Marcus once again goes through the lengthy explanation of how the community was attacked, the scar was healed, and why he is here. The village chief looks at Marcus with a pained expression. After hearing his story, he contemplates what he should do for almost a minute before he opened his mouth to speak again. "Are you sure that is what you want to do? In my eyes it is a suicide mission doomed to fail. You should stay here, and we can tell the authorities what happened, even if it is unlikely that your sister will be found." Marcus shakes his head and looks at the village chief with a face full of resolution before answering. "Yes, I have to try to save Lilia no matter what. Even if you are not willing to help me, I will still go, since I already swore to myself that I would." After seeing the resolute expression on Marcus's face, the village chief sighs once and tells Marcus that he will give his knowledge on the area and his insight on where he thinks the slavers are likely to be headed. "But first things first, you need some new clothes. You look like you have been attacked by multiple beasts and your clothes are shredded." The village chief looks over towards the young girl cooking on the fire and beckons her over. "Mariana, would you help Irene find a new set of clothes, preferably something easy to move in since she has a long journey ahead of her?" The girl named Mariana nods her head and then looks at Marcus and begins speaking. Ads by PubFuture. "Follow me, Irene, I am sure we can find something in my wardrobe that you can wear." Marcus then follows Mariana to her room, where she starts to take out multiple different outfits and lets Marcus try them on. At first Marcus was pretty embarrassed to undress in front of a girl, but he soon realized that he is currently in a woman's body and it is not even his own. Marcus tried on many different sets of clothes, from dresses, skirts, pants, and shirts. However, there was slight problem. Mariana was around 5 feet 3 inches while Irene's body was 5 feet 6 inches. All of Mariana's clothes were a bit too short for Marcus, and the shirts were also a bit small in another area, namely the chest. "Even her biggest clothes are a bit too small for me to wear comfortably. I guess I will just have to get over it and find some clothes once I make it to a bigger town." Mariana looked disappointed with the clothes choices she had, but she suddenly looked over at a chest sitting in the corner of the room. She walked over with a bit of hesitation and opened the chest. She then brings over a beautiful white shirt and black pants. "Since nothing I have fits you very well, I figured that these might. They belong to my mother, and from what I remember she was around the same height as you." Mariana has a bit of sorrow in her eyes as she hands the clothes to Marcus, who promptly changes into them. "These clothes fit pretty well, almost perfectly, and are much softer and higher quality than the other clothes that I tried on." Mariana sees the satisfied expression on Marcus's face and says in a solemn tone, "Those were my mother's favorite clothes. She had them specially tailored with the highest quality yak and goat fur that we usually reserve only for selling." Marcus's expression turns sour as he contemplates whether he should accept such precious clothes from a bunch of strangers. Mariana, noticing the change in Marcus's face, begins to speak gently. There is no reason to be apprehensive. Those clothes look great on you, and I am sure my mother would be happy to see them being used again rather than collecting dust. Marcus thanks Mariana for her generosity for letting him have her mother's exceptional clothing, and the two of them begin to head back towards the main room of the house. These people sure are incredibly nice. Even if they think I am Irene, she still was not even a part of this village, and yet they have given me new clothes and plan to help me even more. As Marcus thinks about the kindness that these people have bestowed upon him, he and Mariana come back into the main room and see Amos setting a table and serving the stew that had been cooking. When the village chief and Amos look over and see the clothes that Marcus is wearing, tears start to well up in both of their eyes for an instant before they get their emotions under control. The village chief then begins to speak in a friendly manner. Well, I see you have found some fine clothes to wear. Now come you two, dinner is ready and we can talk while we eat. Marcus and Mariana sat down and began eating. After everyone had eaten a bit, the village chief was ready to begin telling Marcus about the area and his insights on where Marcus should go to find the Slavers and save Lilia. C 18-17, the Kingdom of Borealia. The village chief finishes scarfing down a large portion of stew with a satisfied expression when he turns towards Marcus and begins speaking. Before I start to tell you about the area and which direction I think it is likely those Slavers went, would you mind telling me how much you know about the area, so I do not spend time explaining unnecessary details? Marcus considers exactly what he should say. He only has a few vague memories from Irene and does not know any details about where he is or the surrounding area. He really wants to get as much information as he can, but also does not want to seem suspicious because there are certain things that Irene would have known. I guess I should just ask for everything about the area I am in, even if it does seem a bit suspicious. They have already been incredibly nice, and I find it unlikely for them to get really wary of me at this point. After having mulled over how he was going to approach getting information, he looks at the village chief and says, I really do not know much about the area at all. I have been living up here for most of my life, so any information you have would be useful for me. Ads by PubFuture. Okay, I understand. I know a good deal about the broader workings of our kingdom, but there are plenty of details I know nothing about, but I will tell you what I can. The village chief then begins to explain about the kingdom that Marcus currently finds himself in. The kingdom is called Borealia and is located at the northernmost inhabitable part of the continent. The chief does not know of the names of any of the surrounding countries, as his village is one of the farthest north settlements in the kingdom. He tells Marcus that following the road south there would be a large river flowing roughly east to west called the Tortoise River. At that point there would be a large town called River Landing that is the largest trading hub in the region. The village chief explains how River Landing, while not the most lawful place, would be a horrible place to sell illegal slaves. This is because of the vested interest the kingdom has in collecting taxes from the largest trading hub in the northern region, so they watch out for illegal trade to make sure it does not cut into their profits. He then goes on to explain that heading east is impossible, heading south while possible is unlikely, and heading west is almost assured. To the east of River Landing is mostly small villages like ours that deal in agriculture and husbandry, so other than the lords of the regions there would be no one who would have any money to purchase slaves. The farther south one goes, the closer they get to the capital and their influence. The kingdom does its best to uphold and enforce its laws, and the closer they are to the capital the more likely those Slavers are to be found carrying illegal slaves. No, the most likely direction they would go would be west after River Landing towards the city of Lorsend. Lorsend is the only deep water port in the entire kingdom as far as I know, and is a hub of trade for foreign merchants. The area receives a constant influx of people from the nearby countries as well as the continent to the west, making it much harder for the kingdom to monitor illegal activities. The city is also separated from the southern part of the kingdom by the Verkutid Mountains, making the crown's power there relatively weak. In terms of distance from the capital they may be even farther than this village. Once in the city the Slavers would have a plethora of people to sell to, from merchants both domestic and foreign as well as nobles. After giving a general explanation of the area and his thoughts on where the Slavers are likely to go, the village chief looks towards Marcus, waiting for any of his questions. Marcus then asks, if slavery is illegal in the kingdom, then how are they able to transport so many people without being caught? I just do not see how they could have a successful business. The village chief stares at Marcus and slaps himself in the face for not realizing just how clueless Marcus is about the laws of the kingdom. You misunderstand. Slavery in itself is not illegal in the kingdom, but the kidnapping of random citizens most certainly is. The majority of slaves in this kingdom are criminals or people that could not pay off their departments. So yes, there is slavery. However, what those men did is considered illegal, and the punishment if they are caught would be to be made into slaves themselves or even executed. Okay, I have pretty good understanding about how slavery works in this kingdom now, but there is something I just do not get. Why would someone want a criminal that is likely to stab you in the back and run away as a slave? They must have a way to control people, probably through some form of magic contract or collar is my best guess. Ads by PubFuture. Thank you for telling me all this. From what you said, I think your logic is sound, and I will head towards River Landing first to look for clues and follow the trail from there. Could you also tell me how long it will take to reach River Landing from here? Ah yes, I suppose that would be important if you are walking there. It should take you 9 or 10 days to reach, as long as you do not run into any trouble. There are a number of other villages on the way, and you should be able to find some hospitality in them. However, I think you should wait for a few more days, as a unit of soldiers from River Landing comes up around this time during the summer to clear out the periphery of the woods of magical beasts and monsters. I believe it would be much safer for you to travel in their wake as many others do. Yeah, there is no way I can wait for the unit of soldiers. I am already a month behind, and worst case scenario, Lilia gets sold to some merchant from across the sea and it becomes impossible for me to track her down. Wait, and did he say summer? I thought it was fall. It has not gotten above the low 70s, this place really must be far north. Whatever, I just have to do what I have to do. Thank you for your advice, but I plan to set out as soon as the sun comes up tomorrow. I am already too far behind to wait and play it safe. The village chief nods his head as if expecting that answer and gets up and heads into another room. When he comes back, he lays a small leather pouch in front of Marcus and beckons him to open it. When Marcus opens it, he sees a number of brown coins laying in the pouch. The village chief then says, "It's not much, but it is what we can offer. I put 53 copper coins in there for you." While traveling through the small villages around here costs nothing. For large towns and cities like River Landing there is an entrance tax. Also, you will need an ID to enter most large towns as well, and if you do not have one, I remember the fee being around 20 copper coins to have one made, although that was some years ago so the price might have changed. Marcus stares at the village chief, baffled by his generosity. This man really is too kind. He not only gave me information and advice but is now even giving me money. Thank you very much. I promise to repay your kindness one day. You have done so much for me even though you barely know me. Ah, it's no big deal. You have gone through a horrible tragedy and your community has had a long-standing relationship with ours for a long time. Since you are the last one left, it is my duty to help you. Now it is getting late, and you have a long day ahead of you tomorrow. You can sleep in our guest bedroom tonight and we will see you off tomorrow. Marcus then follows Mariana to the guest room and lays down on the bed, soon enraptured by the soft warm bed, falling into a deep peaceful sleep. See 19-18 River Landing. As Marcus sleeps, he dreams of his life on Earth. He dreams of his 21st birthday where his family threw a large party for him. He dreams of how he tried dozens of different types of liquor, from beers and wines to even a sweet sake. He dreams of the horrible hangover he had the next day which caused him to skip his college classes. His dreams continue and feature many of the happy memories he had on Earth, before shifting to something else. His dreams begin to feature the memories of Irene, focusing on her love for her sister. Marcus can feel how deeply Irene cared for her sister. And when the dream features Irene's final memories, he can feel her misery, fury, and helplessness. Marcus then wakes up with tears running down his face, the dreams overpowering his emotions. Damn, my chest hurts. I miss my family so much, and I can feel the fragment of Irene's soul crying out for her little sister as well. I really can't afford to let her down. I have to find and save Lilia no matter what, for Irene but also for myself. Marcus then got out of bed and changed into the set of clothes he was given the day before. He checked through his supplies and figured he would have to restock in a day or two. I guess I am ready to head out. I will give my thanks and farewell and be on my way. Marcus walks out into the main room and is greeted by the village chief and Mariana. The two of them had been waiting for Marcus and were each holding something to give to him. The village chief then said, "We figured that you might need a bag and an extra set of clothes for your journey, so we scrounged something up. It's an old bag but it was made well, and I have filled it with some food and water." The village chief and Mariana hand the bag and extra set of clothes to Marcus with a smiling faces. Marcus responds saying, "Thank you again, you have shown me a great deal of help and generosity I will not forget. I know because of the help you have given me I will be able to save Lilia. It is only natural that we show our neighbors some hospitality in their time of need. Also Amos would have been here to see you off, but he had some urgent work to take care of this morning." Marcus nodded towards the village chief and then headed to exit the house. The village chief and Mariana walked Marcus to the edge of the village where Marcus saw Amos had gathered a large amount of the villagers to see Marcus off. As Marcus left, the villagers gave shouts of encouragement and wishes for safe travels, giving Marcus a fuzzy feeling in his chest. Once Marcus was out of eye-shot of the village, he stored the bag into his item box. I guess it would be weird for a person traveling on foot to have no bags of luggage of any kind, but those people really were too nice. I promise I will come back to visit one day. With one last look in the direction of the village, Marcus begins his long trek down the road. Ellipsis. While most people would be slowed down by many factors during travel, Marcus was able to alleviate many of them. With his item box he was not encumbered by any heavy bags filled with supplies, and with his dark vision skill he could travel even at night without the need of light. After traveling for 6 days and only resting around 4 hours a day, Marcus acquired a skill called endurance that allowed him to stave off exhaustion for longer. On the 7th day Marcus saw a unit of soldiers heading up the road heading north. Those must be the soldiers that the kingdom sends every summer I heard about in the village. I should probably avoid them since I really do not want to end up in any unexpected trouble. Marcus veered off the road a few hundred feet and hid in some bushes waiting for the soldiers to pass by. After they were out of view, Marcus got back on the road and continued his journey. Marcus had made exceptional time and the journey had been relatively peaceful, with Marcus being attacked only a few times by some low-level beast. Then coming up over the top of a large hill, Marcus saw the large town of River Landing nestled on both sides of the river, connected by multiple bridges. While that is something, it is much larger than any of the villages I have passed through on my way here. It kind of reminds me of Montreal, with it being connected across a river by multiple bridges. I guess I should go get into the line of people entering the town. Hopefully it will not take too long. As Marcus approached River Landing, he noticed that the long line of carts, carriages and people had certain individuals that were not human. He saw many people with animal-like traits such as furry ears and tails, short and stout people that were obviously dwarfs, and there was one coach with a driver who had pointed ears. I knew that there were intelligent races other than humans in this world, but this is my first time seeing any in person. This really hammers home how this is a fantasy world. It is too bad that I am on a pressing mission right now and do not have more time to explore the cultures and areas of this world right now. Marcus soon gets in line and waits his turn to be admitted into the town. After waiting for around 30 minutes and being near the front of the line, he sees a ornate carriage go past the line to the front gate. The carriage only stops for a few moments and flashes what looks like a metal plate before the guards swiftly let them in. I guess they are probably a noble or someone with a high status, since they did not even give a cursory examination of that carriage or take the entry fee. After a couple more minutes Marcus made it to the front of the line. The guard then asked Marcus, 2 copper coins and your ID. I am afraid I do not have an ID, but I heard that I can have one made here for 20 coppers. The guard frowns at Marcus before responding, yes, you can have an ID made in the guard station to the left, however the price is 30 coppers, if you do not have enough money you will have to leave. Marcus nods his head at the guard and says, I do have enough money, thank you for directing me. Marcus then walks into the guard station where another guard is lounging about until he sees Marcus and promptly gets up and asks, yes miss, how may I help? I need to have an ID made so that I can enter River Landing, can you help me? After hearing Marcus's request and staring at him for a little too long, the guard directs Marcus over to a podium in the center of the room. Here you go miss, please place your hand here on this podium, but first I need to confirm your payment of 30 coppers. Marcus nods and takes his coin pouch out of his item box, eliciting a surprised reaction from the guard. Ads by PubFuture. You have an item box miss, that is an incredibly rare skill. The man stares at Marcus in awe for a very uncomfortable amount of time before Marcus coughs to refocus the man and hands him the money. After the man takes the money, he once again beckons Marcus to put his hand on the pedestal. Once Marcus places his hand on it, the pedestal begins to light up and displays his status. For an instant as Marcus has a heart attack as his full status is on display before it suddenly flickers, and certain information is changed. Name: Irene. Age: 28. Race: human. Kingdom: Borealia. Level: 9. HP: 430 430ths minus 290 290ths. MP: 380 380ths. STR: 30. AGL: 32. VIT: 29. INT: 38. SPR: 43. Skills: Small item box, lesser regeneration LVL1, digging LVL1, fighting LVL2, magic circulation LVL2, iron magic LVL2, disassembly LVL2, stealth LVL2, lightning magic LVL1, creature appraisal LVL1, fire magic LVL1, danger sense LVL1, dark vision LVL1, endurance LVL1. Blessing of Iron. Luckily, the guard was too busy staring at Marcus to notice that his displayed status suddenly changed, and when he did look at it, he was once again flabbergasted. He stared at Marcus's status for a good 5 minutes, wondering how this random commoner had such impressive stats and skills for a level 9. This does not make any sense. Other than digging, disassembly, and endurance, she has incredibly difficult skills to obtain, not to mention having 3 magic skills, one of which is level 2. She surprisingly also has a blessing. Even the children of nobles around this level do not have stats or skills this good. Once the guard finishes looking over Marcus's status, he chants a few words, and the pedestal spits out a piece of parchment which the guard then hands to Marcus. Here, this is your ID, be sure not to lose it, otherwise you will need to purchase another one. Also, since I assume this is your first time here, I would recommend the Lively Goose Inn. It is a few hundred feet down the main street on the left, you should have no trouble spotting it. After thanking the guard for helping him, Marcus exited the guard station, paid the entry fee, and finally entered the town of River Landing, C20-19, learning about magic. Walking into the town proper of River Landing, Marcus is stunned by the number of people and beasts. Marcus sees all manner of people, from commoners like him, wealthy merchants, and even nobles moving about the busy streets. However, what is even more shocking for Marcus is the number of beasts pulling carriages and people are riding. There were of course horses, some type of large, majestic stag, a 2-legged lizard that looked like some kind of dinosaur, and many others. Wow, now this is what I imagined a fantasy city to look like. There are magic beasts all over the place, and I think I see someone doing a magic performance over there. While Marcus was staring in awe at the amazing sights of River Landing, he had started to congest the traffic behind him when one of the people he was slowing down began to yell, "Hey, stop gawking and get out of the way, I need to get to the other side of the river before they start to close down the bridges." Startled by the man atop a cart yelling at him, Marcus turns around and sees how he has been standing in the middle of the main thoroughfare, blocking part of the road. Marcus quickly gets out of the way and stands at the edge of the road. His attention is then directed towards the magic performance that is being held in a small park off the side of the road. Marcus carefully walks towards the park, making sure not to impede traffic again, and joins the small gathering of people watching the performance. Marcus sees a middle-aged man in a funny get-up shouting into the crowd, "Ladies and gentlemen, I still have few more tricks up my sleeves before the end of my performance. Watch now as I create the natural beauty of a rainbow right here on this cloudless day." The performer then clasped his hands together and began chanting. After 3 seconds he completed his chant, and he slowly opened his hands as a bubble of water started to form. Once it reached around a foot in diameter, the man threw it into the air, where it popped into a cloud of mist. The man then started another chant, which he completed before a small beam of light left his hands, creating a rainbow. The performer then did a bow as everyone around began to clap and cheer. The performer then opened his mouth to speak once more. Ads by PubFuture. "Thank you, your applause is much appreciated, however, my final trick will be even more spectacular, prepare yourselves and be amazed." Holding his hands towards the sky, the man initiated a chant, and when he had finished, a small ball of fire that reassembled Marcus's fire shot appeared and flew into the air. Once it was around 100 feet high, it exploded, reassembling a firework. The audience broke out into an even more vigorous cheer than before as the performing man took a few bows before taking off his hat and holding it out. While many people walked over and threw a copper coin or two into the man's hat before heading on their way, Marcus was contemplating something seriously. That man certainly must have a lot of magic skills. And I could not see his level, so he must be higher than me. So why is he performing out here for coppers when he should be able to make more with his magic elsewhere? Also, why was he chanting when he cast spells? Once I memorized the spell's formation, I was able to use it whenever I wanted. I guess I should go and ask him. Maybe the chants were just part of his performance. After waiting for the crowd to have almost entirely dispersed, Marcus walked up to the man to begin his inquiry. "Hello sir, that was an amazing performance. I was wondering if I could ask you a few questions about magic." Before responding, the man holds out his hat and shakes it towards Marcus, beckoning for a tip ahead of answering any questions. Marcus reluctantly took out his coin pouch and threw 5 copper coins into the performer's hat. With a satisfied expression, the man said, "And what would you like to know about magic, miss?" "I was wondering why you needed to chant to cast your spells. I thought they could be cast without any words." The man looks at Marcus for a moment with a flabbergasted expression before he laughs a little and responds to Marcus. "Ah miss, you must have read too many stories. Only the strongest of spellcasters can cast spells without chants. I am afraid that this old man never had the talent to get anywhere close to that level of skill in magic." Marcus is quite shocked when he hears this, because he has had no trouble casting spells without any chants since he was level 2, and even now, he could not be considered anywhere near the pinnacle of magic. Marcus collects his thoughts for a few seconds before asking his next question. Ads by PubFuture. "You must have at least 3 magic skills from what I saw, and I do not mean to be rude, but why are you out here doing these performances?" The man looks slightly offended but remembers the generous tip Marcus gave and sees the look of genuine curiosity on his face and then answers Marcus's question. "Unfortunately miss, you are mistaken again. All but the last of my spells were simple utility magic spells, while my final one was just a tier 1 fire magic spell." Utility magic? I do not think I saw a skill like that when I was searching through my skill list, even when I had 6 points. I must have either missed it or I have a really bad affinity with it. Also, he said that he used a tier 1 fire spell, but while it looked like a fire shot, mine does not explode. I should ask him how he does that. It could be useful to send a signal or as a distraction. I just have one more question. That last spell you used looked like a fire shot, but how were you able to make it exploded? The performer looked quite shocked when he heard this question, not expecting someone who seemed to know nothing of magic to recognize the differences between a normal fire shot and what he had cast. "What I cast was not the basic fire shot that everyone gets when they obtain the fire magic skill, but another spell called exploding fire shot. I assume this must be your first time seeing a spell that was not created by the system but by people." Marcus was blown away for a moment as he thought about all of the new information he had just learned about magic. "I still do not know why I do not have to chant to cast spells. As far as I know, I have no skill or ability that should let me bypass this fundamental rule, so it must be for another reason. I also can't believe that I did not think of the possibility that there might be more spells than the basic ones given by the system. This means there are probably dozens of more spells I can learn even with my current skill levels." Marcus then thanks the man for his time and bids him farewell before he moves to an isolated part of the park and takes out his guide. "I did not check the section on magic before because it seemed really straightforward, but I guess I should thoroughly read this thing when I get the time." Opening his newbie's guide to the section on magic, Marcus begins poring over every detail. To Marcus's surprise, the section was quite detailed and gave him all of the information he had just learned and plenty more. So, people in the past studied the existing formations of the spells given by the system and used them to create new spells. This has given rise to thousands of different spells as people continue to make more and more. I wonder if I will be able to make my own spells one of these days, however that is definitely well into the future if it's even possible. I also found the reasons why people can cast spells without chanting. The guide mentions that people with the silent casting skill are able to circumvent the need for chanting. I, however, do not have the silent casting skill. What allows me to cast spells silently is because I am a monster. The guide specifies that all monsters and magic beasts are able to cast spells without the need to chant because they can store formations in their magic cores. However, most magic beasts and monsters do not have the intelligence for spell casting, so only a few like dragons are proficient with magic. Since I am now a ghost, I am a monster with a magic core allowing me cast silently. Once Marcus had finished reading everything he could about magic, he put his guide back in his item box and headed out in search of a magic shop, hoping to obtain some more spells. See 21-20 Magic Shop and Lively Goose Inn. Marcus spent around an hour searching around for a magic shop before he gave in and asked a patrolling guard where to find one. "Excuse me sir, I was looking for a magic shop, could you give me directions?" The guard, looking a bit disgruntled before he took a good look at Marcus, and enthusiastically responded. "Certainly miss, on this side of the river there is however, only one small magic shop, but I would be more than happy to lead the way for you." "Thank you, and lead the way." Well, when I first opened my mouth the guy acted like I ruined his day, but once he turned around and saw me, he acted like it was the best day of his life. Does he have some kind of disorder or something? As Marcus followed the guard, he saw many other buildings to take note of. The first was the Lively Goose Inn he had been recommended, followed by a weapons shop, a bank, and something that nearly made Marcus stop, a building with a sign saying Adventures Guild. Damn, I wish I could head in there right this moment, but if I stop now, I may not find the magic shop and I can always come back later. Since this is a fantasy world, I was hoping there would be some kind of adventures or mercenary association that I could take jobs from to make money. Ads by PubFuture. Marcus lamented that he could not immediately run in a sign up to be an adventure, but he continued to follow the guard to the magic shop. While traveling to the magic shop, the guard kept asking questions of Marcus, such as how long have you been in town, what is your favorite food, where are you staying, and finally, are you single? At that question, even with as dense as Marcus is, he was able to pick up what the guard was trying to accomplish. "This guy is hitting on me. Sorry dude, I may currently be piloting a woman's body, but I still have the soul of a man and am not interested." Marcus tries to subtly hint that he has no intention of going out with him, but the guard was not taking any hints. After a few more minutes of walking, they finally arrived in front of the magic shop called Katrina's Magic Cash. Marcus thanked the guard and bid him farewell before stepping into the magic shop. Once inside, Marcus saw all types of strange things, from weird ores, parts of monsters and beasts, and an owl sitting by the front desk. Other than Marcus, there was currently no one else in the store, giving it a bit of an eerie feel. "Okay, this is kind of creepy, but there are some books over there, and maybe I can find one with spells for one of the magic types I know." Marcus started to peruse the books that were on the shelves in search of ones containing fire, lightning, or iron magic. Unfortunately, Marcus ran into a major problem. Even after searching through all of the magic books, the cheapest one on fire magic was still 8 gold. Holy shit, all of these books are expensive. Forget gold, I do not even have 1 silver. After paying for my ID, and the entry fee, and tipping that performer, all I have left is 16 copper. I guess I should have expected magic to be expensive. Most people cannot just purchase a magic skill like me, they have to work hard to obtain it. Dejectedly, Marcus left the shop and was unhappily surprised to see the guard still waiting for him. "Ah, Miss Irene, now that you have finished up your business, my shift just ended, and I was wondering if you would accompany me for dinner. I know a great restaurant that serves delicious fish caught right from the Tortoise River." "Great, I really am not in the mood to deal with this guy. Sure, you helped me out a bit, but I understand how guys think, and I know you did not do it out of the kindness of your heart." It took Marcus a few minutes to finally get the guy to give up on dinner, after which he stormed off yelling that after all the help he had given, this was how you repay me. Well, at least that is done. Now I need to go and get a room at the Lively Goose Inn since the sun is starting to set. I wonder why he was so persistent on trying to go out with me. Now that I think about, I have not seen what Irene's face looks like without her horrible scar. Let's see if I can find a mirror or something. Ads by PubFuture. Searching around for a bit, Marcus manages to come across a building with a clear window that has a dark interior so he can see his reflection. Fuck, no wonder I have gotten so many looks from people. Irene is hot. If it were not for her scar when I first saw her, I would have noticed then, but her face is incredibly beautiful. She also has striking purple eyes, and while her hair was brown when I first saw her, it is now the most gorgeous platinum hair I have ever seen. This is both going to be a blessing and a curse. Certainly people are more likely to be friendly to me at first, but I also stand out like a sore thumb. Once Marcus was finished inspecting himself, he retraced his steps in search of the Lively Goose Inn. When he passed by the Adventurers Guild, he almost went inside but decided against it. After a few minutes of searching around, Marcus found himself in front of the Lively Goose Inn as the last dregs of light were disappearing. Marcus then entered the inn and was immediately struck with the strong smell of food and booze. Wow, that smells great. Other than the one stew I had at the village chief's house, all of the food I have eaten has just been roasted on a fire. Marcus began to salivate a little at the smell of delicious food, but soon snapped himself out of it and walked over towards the front desk to rent a room for the night. Hello, I would like to rent a room for one night. How much would that be? The woman manning the front desk looked up at Marcus with an apologetic look before telling him, I am sorry, all of our rooms are booked for tonight. If you want to stay here tomorrow though, we should have some rooms available then. Fuck me, I knew I should have rented a room first, but the allure of magic got the better of me. While Marcus was frustrated about not being able to get a room and thinking up his next move, two guys slowly approached him and started speaking. Hey there, miss, if you need a room tonight, we do not mind sharing ours with you, but we will of course need a little compensation in return. Marcus was completely stunned. These two random goons really came up to him and were offering a room if Marcus would have sex with them. This is so stupid. Do these guys really think that is going to work? Do I look that desperate to have a room here? I would stay up all night standing in a park rather than sleep with these idiots. No thanks, I will find another inn, and even if I can't, I would rather stay up all night than sleep in the same room as you two. The men looked a little peeved at Marcus's response, and one of them quickly reached out and grabbed Marcus's butt and said, no need to be shy, we won't bite, unless you ask us to. Marcus quickly slapped the man's hand away and appraised both of the men's levels. Finding that they were only level 8 and 7, Marcus swiftly implanted his foot into the groin of the man who had grabbed his butt. The man crumbled to the ground in an instant, holding onto his most precious area and wallowing in pain. His friend then tried to backhand Marcus in retaliation, however Marcus caught his arm, grabbed his shirt, and slammed the man into the ground. Leaving the two idiots that had just assaulted him writhing on the ground, Marcus left the Lively Goose in search of another inn. See 22-21 ambush. After Marcus left the Lively Goose Inn, he wandered around looking for another place to sleep. Trying every inn he could find, Marcus was met with disappointment as every single inn was already full to capacity. This sucks. Am I really going to have to stay up all night? There is a guard, maybe he can direct me to an inn that still has some open rooms, and hopefully he does not suggest that I can come home with him like the last person I asked for directions. Marcus approached the patrolling guard and asked him for directions to any inns he might know that are not fully booked. The guard told Marcus that if he crossed through an alley around 100 feet down the road, that on the other side there was a little known inn that normally had rooms open. Marcus thanked the guard and made his way in that direction. Thank God that guy gave me some useful directions. Judging by the way he described the inn, it probably is not as nice as the others I have visited, but I will take what I can get. As Marcus was heading down the alley, he noticed 3 men standing at the other end looking kind of menacing, and when he turned around, he noticed 4 men blocking the way he came, one of which was the guard he just asked for directions. You have got to be fucking kidding me. Did I really just fall for such an obvious trap? Whatever, let's check these guys' levels, maybe I can take them since they will not be expecting me to bust out some magic. Marcus then began to appraise the levels of the men surrounding him and recognized 2 faces. The men who had accosted him at the Lively Goose were among the numbers ambushing him. I guess I must have pissed them off and they gathered their friends to come for revenge. The problem is I can't see 4 of these guys' levels and the other one I can see is level 9. Most of them are holding some kind of weapon that resembles a blackjack, but the man dressed as a guard has a halberd. Ads by PubFuture. While Marcus was assessing his situation, the man dressed as the guard who appeared to be the leader began speaking. I would recommend that you do not offer any resistance and come with us quietly. At this distance you will not be able to chant any spells before we can attack, and we do not have to worry about roughing you up because of your regeneration skill. Marcus was quite shocked when he heard this. Not only did they know about his magic skills but also his lesser regeneration. How the hell did they know my skills? The only person who has seen my skills is That bastard, did he leak my status? It is either that or one of these guys has an extremely high appraisal skill, and I highly doubt that. It looks like they mean to kidnap me, so I do not think it is just revenge for those two assholes that assaulted me earlier. I guess fighting them head on is probably a bad idea since they know all of my skills. Luckily for me, I have another way to beat them. Time to scare the shit out these assholes. Marcus then did something he had not done since being soul tethered to Irene. He unpossessed her body. After he left Irene's body, it collapsed on the ground lifeless, startling all of the men surrounding Marcus. It has been a while since the last time I was in my ghost form, and it feels kind of refreshing. There is a glowing line that connects me to Irene's body, which I guess is the soul tether. From what I read about its description earlier, I can only move a number of feet away from the body I am soul tethered to equal to my spirit stat. Luckily for me, all of these guys are in my range. Marcus then allowed his rage to build up in himself, causing the temperature in the area to rapidly drop until ice started to form. He also activated his ghost sounds ability, making the sound of a chilling wind and low moaning wails. The would-be kidnappers began to become quite frightened by the sudden turn of events. They had already been told all of Marcus's skills and knew he did not have anything like illusion magic. Good, they looked pretty scared. That's right, if you stay here something horrible will happen to you, just run away and everything will be fine. Unfortunately for Marcus, these guys were either braver or stupider than he thought, and one of them started to approach toward Irene's body. I really did not want to do this, but they are giving me no choice. Marcus then floated over toward the level 8 guy that had accosted him in the lively goose inn and activated his possession ability. While Marcus and the man's soul fought for control, the man's body began convulsing and spasming, stopping the advance towards Irene and further scaring the kidnappers. After about 15 seconds, Marcus managed to take control and started his next move. Ads by PubFuture. Hey Boris, are you alright? What just happened to you? As the other men showed concern for their compatriot, Marcus put his hand on the stomach of the one closest to him and cast his spark spell. As the electricity moved throughout the man's body, he began to shake uncontrollably before he collapsed unconscious. The leader of the men then said, "Boris, what the hell are you doing?" Without responding, Marcus lunged towards the next closest guy, hoping to take him out as well. However, after his last attack, his element of surprise was gone, and the man slapped his blackjack right against the side of Marcus's head. The pain immediately assaulted Marcus, but he fought through it and grabbed the man's wrist and cast his spark spell, once again electrocuting him until he passed out. Once Marcus was sure the man was unconscious, he left the concussed body of the man he was currently possessing. Ow, that hurt. I nearly got shunted out of his body from that blow, but I guess it saves me the trouble of knocking him out myself. Now let's see what the remaining 4 guys are going to do. The other 4 men blocking the alley were currently trembling in fear at the devastation at the other side of the alley. They could not understand. They no longer had any thoughts of kidnapping Marcus and began to run away screaming. Well, that worked out pretty well. This was my first time to scare people as a ghost, and I have to say, it was quite fun. Now I can see why it cost me 40 levels to become a ghost. I can turn anyone weaker than me into my own personal puppet. Though I did feel his soul continue to fight against me, and I think I could have only possessed him for another minute or so. Marcus then re-entered Irene's body and procced to check through the 3 unconscious men's belongings. They did try to kidnap me, so it should be fine if I take some of their things as compensation. Nice, between these guys I got 4 silver and 78 copper. As Marcus was rifling through the failed kidnappers' pockets, he noticed another man begin to walk down the alley towards him. Crap, is that their boss or something? He is still pretty far away, but my danger sense is going off like crazy. Unexpectedly, the man began clapping slowly before opening his mouth and saying, "Most impressive. I am not sure what you did to beat those 3 and make the other 4 run screaming, but I am impressed. I was hoping to get you into my department by rescuing you from them, but I suppose I will have to resort to other methods." The man then took out a book from under his cloak, allowing Marcus to see it before speaking again. "I noticed you eyeing this in the magic shop and was wondering if you would not still want it. I have a little job I need you to do, and if you complete it, I would be more than happy to give you this." Marcus stood flabbergasted, seeing the man holding the 8 gold book on fire magic and offering it to him in exchange for some type of job. See 23 to 22. The job. What the hell is going on? I realize that my skills might be rare for someone at my level, but I am still just a level 9 right now, why am I garnering all of this attention? As Marcus was wondering what kind of events had led him to being a party of interest for so many people, the man holding the book on fire magic started to get a bit impatient. While I understand you may be a bit startled by my proposition, I will need an answer soon, since after all the noise you made, even with my interference, the guards will show up soon. Snapping out of his delusions, Marcus began to think quickly about what to do. While that book on fire magic is tempting, this guy may know something about those slavers that have Lilia. If he knows anything, I will do whatever job he wants. With resolution in his eyes, Marcus opened his mouth to respond to the man offering him a job. That book certainly is tempting, but there is something else I want instead, if possible. You seem like the kind of sketchy guy that knows things most others do not. There should have been a group of slavers that came through here between 3 weeks or a month ago. If you have any information on them, I would be more than willing to help you. After hearing Marcus's request, the man seemed quite shocked. He did not expect that Marcus would ask for something other than the magic book, and especially not information. However, the man began to smile before saying, "Yes, that certainly is possible. I do happen to have information on the many slavers that come and go through this town. Now then, since you have agreed, go to the Invulnerable Tortoise Inn. Once you exit the alley, it will be 400 feet down the road on your left. There will be a room ready for you, and I will come visit you sometime tomorrow night and we can hammer out the details." The man then disappeared as if he had never been there, leaving Marcus alone with the 3 men. He knocked unconscious. Marcus quickly activated his stealth skill and made his way out of the alley. He then headed in the direction of the Invulnerable Tortoise while thinking about his next move. Worst case scenario, this is another ambush, and I will have to abandon Irene's body, but I do not think it is. That man felt incredibly strong to me, and I have no doubt that he could have easily beaten me without any trouble. He said he would come tomorrow, and we could work out the details. Hopefully this job he wants me to do is not too unethical. While thinking, Marcus arrived in front of the Invulnerable Tortoise and immediately could tell something was different about this inn from the others he visited. This place almost seems to radiate a certain invisible pressure, as if I am about to walk into a den of tigers. Marcus opened the door to the inn and walked inside. When he did, the scant amount of noise inside the inn stopped and everyone looked over towards him. Marcus could immediately feel the pressure that these people gave off. Marcus, however, did not lose his nerve and began appraising everyone in the inn. To his surprise, everyone in the inn was higher level than him, even the innkeeper. Marcus then approached the burly woman that looked like she could wrestle a bear who was standing at the front desk. When Marcus approached the desk, the woman took out a key and said, "Second floor all the way to the end on the left." Marcus grabbed the key and moved towards the stairs. Once he was out of sight, he stopped and listened as quiet conversation returned to the inn now that the newcomer was gone. Marcus swiftly found his room, unlocked it and went inside, before letting out a deep breath. Phew, all of those people are monsters. I could not see the level of any of them and the pressure they let off was suffocating. This certainly is not like the friendly neighborhood inns I had visited earlier today. This is a den of monsters. Marcus then moved towards the bed and laid down, getting comfortable and falling asleep quickly in the warm embrace of the second bed he had slept on since coming to Mirian. When Marcus woke up, he headed downstairs to find something to eat. Finding a lone table, Marcus sat down and soon a beautiful young woman came to take Marcus's order. "What would you like?" I guess I will have the special with a glass of water." "Okay. Wow, that was some cold service. Did I do something to her? I hope the special is not something really weird." After a couple of minutes, the server came back with Marcus's order and the bill. "That will be 12 copper. Ads by PubFuture." Marcus then took out his coin pouch, counted out 12 copper and handed it to the server, who promptly left to attend to the other patrons. Marcus then looked down at the breakfast that was brought out to him and his stomach started to rumble. "This looks pretty good. The main is some type of fish and the sides are a piece of black bread and vegetable soup." Marcus then began to eat, first taking a bite out of the bread and finding that it was quite different from what he had eaten on Earth. "Wow, this pretty is hard. This is nothing like the soft bread I used to eat. I think I did read about how in medieval times the bread they ate was much harder and they would often dip it into soup to soften it up." Marcus then dipped the bread into the vegetable soup and found that it became much easier to eat. "It is still a bit tough, but at least I can get my teeth into it now." He continued to eat his meal until he had finished off every last morsel of food in his bowl and on his plate. Man, that was good. The soup tasted really good, being full of carrots, potatoes and some type of vegetable I have never seen before. While the fish was cooked to perfection, it was a bit flaky but not tough and had a great flavor like a better trout. I wonder what I should do now. Should I go explore the town a bit more or should I just stay here and wait until tonight for my meeting? After thinking it over for a while, Marcus decided to stay at the inn. He really did not want to get into more trouble walking around the town and figured he could wash up and practice magic at the inn. Marcus headed over to the front desk and asked if there was any way he could take a bath. The burly innkeeper then went and grabbed a small metal tub and told Marcus he could get water from the well out back. Marcus went out back and filled every free inch of his item box with water. He then went back to his room and filled the tub and used fire shot on the water until it was a nice temperature. Ah, this feels great. I have not had a hot bath since coming to this world. I think I am going to have to make some room in my item box for a portable tub and a lot of water. It is still a bit weird to be in a woman's body. If I still had my original body, I would be getting pretty hot and bothered right about now. However, I do not really feel much of anything right now, maybe because I am ghost now or because of the connection I have to Irene's soul. Marcus leisurely bathed until he overheated and had to climb out of the bath to cool off. He then started to practice magic to increase his skill level and figuring out applications for his Iron Thread spell. Training a skill to level it up is much harder than just dumping some skill points into. I wonder how much more I will have to do before I can level up lightning and fire magic. Marcus then heard a knock on his door and then looked out the window, seeing that it was already nighttime. I guess I lost track of time training magic and it is time for my clandestine meeting. Marcus then got up and opened the door, seeing the same cloaked man. The man came in and sat down on the chair in the room as Marcus was closing the door and locking it. Well, let us get down to business. There is a certain lieutenant of the captain of the guard who is quite corrupt, and I have been unable to find any hard evidence against him, so I would like you to plant these incriminating documents in his residence. See 24-23 Honey Trap. After hearing the objective of the job, this suspicious man wants him to do. Marcus is stunned. The man sees the shocked expression on Marcus's face and begins to elaborate more on the finer details of what the job entails. First, I will tell you that I am a royal investigator, and it is my job to root out corruption in the kingdom, and I am only looking out for its best interests. While I have no hard proof linking Lieutenant Ivar Paulson to illegal activities, there is too much smoke for there to not be a fire. You may be wondering why I have chosen you to plant these documents, and it is because this lieutenant has shown an interest in you. In fact, there are quite a few people that have shown an interest in you, like those thugs that attacked you in the alley earlier. I am afraid that the guard who made your ID leaked your status to many people for money. From what I heard from my source, Lieutenant Paulson wishes to recruit you into the city guard to increase his prestige for getting a talented young person to join. However, he also heard that you were quite beautiful, and his main objective is to add you to his collection. Marcus grimaces at the last sentence the investigator said and begins to think about his predicament. Ads by PubFuture. I guess my skills really were too eye-catching. I did not think I would attract this much attention and from such unsavory people. What do I do? Should I accept to plant these documents on this guy's word alone that this lieutenant is corrupt? For all I know, this guy could be some kind of criminal trying to implicate this lieutenant because he is getting in his way. Oh, whatever, if he can get me information on those slavers, even if I am helping a criminal, I have to do it. Okay, I have decided if you can give me information on a group of slavers, I will help you plant that evidence on this lieutenant. Very good, you have deal. However, there are a number of slavers that operate in the kingdom, so I will need a description so I can narrow it down. Marcus then went into as much detail he could about the slavers who attacked the community that Irene was a part of, especially the description of the leader that killed her. After thinking for a few moments, the royal investigator scowled before giving his response to Marcus. Yes, I know who you are talking about. They are a group of slavers that like to go around attacking small, isolated communities and kidnapping anyone they deem valuable. I can tell you this right now that they are headed to Lorsend. That is their base of operations. I have been trying to catch them for a couple of years now, but they always have the correct papers for slave trading, and since they never make any sales here in River Landing, I have no grounds to investigate them further. I of course have more information on them, and if you successfully complete this assignment, I would be more than happy to tell you everything I know. Ads by PubFuture. I really did not get any new information from him, but if what he said is true, I have confirmation on where these guys are headed. He has not given me any information that seems blatantly false, and my danger sense and my own instincts are not throwing up warning signs. At the end of the day, I am Ghost, so I doubt there are many situations I cannot get out of if I have to. Very well, I understand what you want me to do, and I believe your information on the slavers, so how do you want me to plant this evidence on this corrupt lieutenant? That should not be too difficult. I have already leaked information to him that you are staying here, and I know he plans to have someone contact you tomorrow. He is first going to take you around and try to convince you to join the guards. Make sure you never agree to this, but act interested. He will almost certainly invite you back to his private residence for dinner, and while you are there you should be able to find some time to place the evidence somewhere in his house where it would not be too easily found. The main reason that I choose you for this task is your item box. You will be able to carry the documents and even pass a full body search. Wait a minute, am I a honey trap? This guy could have tried this with any girl that caught that lieutenant's fancy. The only reason he is using me is because of my item box. There is no way I am sleeping with this random creep. I will hopefully be able to find another way out of this. Maybe I can just shock him into unconsciousness or tie him up for a while with my iron threads. Almost as if he could read Marcus's thoughts, the royal investigator coughed and told Marcus, I would not recommend that you use violence in any situation. This lieutenant is level 29 and the fifth son of a prominent viscount. You would have no means of beating him physically or politically, even though you have powerful skills for your level. Just find a moment to excuse yourself and place the evidence in a discreet location. Marcus started to think of many scenarios he could use to cause a commotion if necessary, such as playing dead, possessing a servant and causing a ruckus, maybe even making it so cold the guy could not get it up. The last thing he wanted to do was have to sleep with someone just to get information. After giving Marcus some time to think, the royal investigator stood up and began speaking. Well, I believe that settles everything. I have left the documents on the chair here and you should have no trouble completing this little job. When you have finished it, come back here and I will find you so you can tell me where you hid the documents, and I can begin a raid on Ivar Pelson's manor. Now that he had divulged the mission to Marcus, the royal investigator quickly the room. While Marcus was racking his brains on how he was going to safely accomplish this assignment, C25 to 24 Ivar Pelson. There are just too many possible scenarios that can happen. I will have to be flexible and go with the flow. Hopefully, this is just an in-and-out procedure with as little pain as possible. Oh, who am I kidding? From what I have heard, this guy is certainly going to try to get me into bed. Great, now that I think about it, he may even try to drug me, since I am soul tethered to Irene. Even if I pass out, I do not get forced out of her body. I am going to need to be careful of what I eat. Wait, he is less likely to feed me any drugs if he thinks I am going to do it willingly. I need to act flirtatious and find a way to back out at the last moment. The problem is I am a guy and know nothing about seduction techniques. Am I supposed to flash him some cleavage, laugh at everything he says? God, this is difficult. Marcus spent the better half of the night obsessing about whatever he could do to plant the evidence and get out without suffering any consequences. At a certain point he gave up and finally went to sleep. He woke up soaked in cold sweat from how nervous he was, and he was not certain when the person who was going to take him to Lieutenant Pelson would arrive. I guess I should just go get some breakfast and wait around downstairs until whoever it is comes to get me. Once Marcus got downstairs, he headed towards a lone table and waited for the server to come take his order. When she got to Marcus, she gave the same cold and impersonal service as yesterday. Marcus once again ordered whatever the special was and began to observe the server. After watching her take the orders of the other guest, he realized that she was not just cold to him but everyone else as well. Soon his food arrived, and this time it was 2 fried eggs, a few pieces of sausage, and a fried potato. While this is just like a classic breakfast from Earth, except the eggs are a bit bigger and the potato is sweeter. While Marcus was scarfing down his meal enjoying familiar tastes from home, a female guard entered the invincible tortoise and started looking around. Marcus acted like he did not notice her, and when she spotted Marcus, she made a beeline towards him. Hello there, is your name Irene? Marcus then acted startled and looked at the guard before nervously responding. Yes, I am Irene. Am I in some kind of trouble or something? The guard then started to smile before saying, no, you are not in any trouble. In fact, my superior officer, Lieutenant Ivar Paulson, heard about your impressive status and wanted to invite you for an interview to become one of the town guards. It is exactly as that royal investigator said. Now all I have to do is follow the plan and plant the evidence. Oh, that is a surprise, and I am a bit interested in this opportunity. However, I really do not know what being a guard entails. Are you sure I am qualified? Yes, the guards are always looking for talented young people to join, and I believe you could learn how to be a guard with ease. So, if you would follow me, I can bring you to Lieutenant Paulson and he can explain more details about the guard to you. Marcus then got up and followed the guard out of the inn and deeper into the town towards the river. The guard led him to a large 4-story building made out of white stone that had banners and flags all over it. The flags and banners had the depiction of a snowflake crossed by 2 spears on it, depicting the symbol of the Borrelia royal family. This here is the pride and joy of River Landing, the army headquarters for the northern region of the kingdom. Impressive, is it not? Ads by PubFuture. Marcus stood mouth agape staring at the largest building he had seen since coming to Mirian. Damn, this building is big. Even on Earth this would be considered a large building, and while it has nothing on a skyscraper in this world, it is probably the equivalent of one. While Marcus stood marveling at the intricate architecture, the guard who was leading him began to get a bit impatient and opened her mouth and said, yes, it is something to look at, but the lieutenant is waiting for us, and he is a busy man, so we should head on in. Marcus quickly snapped out of his daze and followed the guard into the building and led him towards the left side. Going down many hallways and walking upstairs to the 4th floor before entering onto the roof, where Marcus saw a man standing out looking over the town. Is he trying to look stoic or something? Would we not normally hold a job interview in an office or at least inside the building? After staring at the town for a few more seconds, the man turned around and walked over towards Marcus and the guard. While moving over towards them, he never once took his eyes off Marcus and looked like he was appraising an animal. Well, you must be Miss Irene. It is a pleasure to meet you. I am Lieutenant Ivar Paulson. Thank you for bringing her here. Hallie, you are dismissed. The guard that Marcus had been following gave a salute and quickly left, leaving Marcus all alone with Lieutenant Paulson. Lieutenant Paulson then led Marcus over to the edge of the roof and began speaking again. Well, is this not a lovely town? When I look at it from up here, I can get a real feeling for what it is I am protecting. Now the guard who made your ID was so impressed by your status that he told everyone in the mess hall about it. When it reached my ears, I knew I had to at least invite such a promising person to join our guards, and while you have no weapon skill, which is a requirement to formally join the guard, I am sure that you could learn one soon with your talent and dedication. While learning how to use a weapon, I would be more than happy to train you myself and allow you to be a guard apprentice, and with your 3 magic skills you have a good chance of moving up to be an officer within a short amount of time. So, what do you say? Would you like to be my personal apprentice and join the noble town guard? Wow, this guy is laying it on thick. He really has learned his nice guy devoted to the state act well, but my instincts tell me he is a real creep and to run away right now. After acting like he was seriously considering the offer, Marcus soon opens his mouth and says, while I appreciate the offer very much and I am interested, would you allow me to have some time to think about it? I was traveling down south to meet with my family to work in their shop, but now I must seriously consider your offer. At Marcus's response, Ivar's plastered-on smile twitched for a second before reforming, and he then says, absolutely, please take your time and think about it. However, a person with your skill set would be able to accomplish much more as a part of the guard than working in some shop. While you think it over, let me show you some of the many installations that are the pride of the town guard so you can get a better understanding of what we do. Paulson then grabbed Marcus's shoulder and ushered him towards the door of the roof to continue his tour of the city guard's installations.